Hi, and welcome to the We Need Roads podcast and our bumper top 10 films we want to see in 2024 episode. But first, a shout out to Evil Monkey, who is our 3,000th follower on Twitter.
I'm such a big fan of yours on Family Guy. Oh my God, I can't believe you're a fan of ours.
I know, like the actual Evil Monkey from Family Guy follows us on Twitter.
He doesn't post anything on Twitter, he just points evilly at stuff.
Before you were recording, you said it was a porn bot.
That was the 3,000th one. And then, rather than take the cheap win and go, oh, it's fine, let's ignore it, I removed whatever the weird person's name was, who's definitely a Russian sex bot. And I was like, okay, we just need one more follower today. And then Evil Monkey stepped up to the plate.
Oh my God.
So I believe we can...
Defeating all the porn bots with one fell finger. That was weird.
Anyway, in case you haven't gathered, today I'm joined by the full We Needed Roads crew, and we've got Ben.
Hi, how's it going? It's me, I'm back, and you haven't called me Ben Lord, and I'm really appreciative of that.
Shit, forgot. We've got Jose.
Greetings from the States, and hello, Ben Lord.
Nice. And, of course, we have David.
Hello, people. And yes, Ben Lord's here. We are not worthy.
We are not worthy. We are not worthy.
So today, we're each going to give you our top 10 films that we most want to see in 2024 before, once again, using the power of maths, because it worked so well last time, we'll give you our combined official We Needed Roads top 10 films overall list. But first, like any good list, here are the films that just missed out on our top 10 status. Here's a long list section. David, you're going to kick us off with your long list.
Yes, so these are the films that didn't make my top 10. Some of these were like fucking so close. They were so close to making it in there. First off, we have Beetlejuice 2. In the most obvious casting of all time, Jenna Ortega will be playing Winona Ryder's character's daughter in Tim Burton's long-awaited sequel. Whether it was long-awaited, I don't know, but it's been a long time since it was coming. Was anyone really waiting for it?
I'll say it's controversial, because sequels to movies that don't need sequels is not great in my book.
Yeah, and I think this year is full of that. Like I've made notes. There's like I got little asterisks next to properties that have had finally had a sequel made way later than anybody really gives a shit about. I mean,
yeah, definitely. Is it like the Legacy sequel? Was that what it's called? A Legacy sequel? There's been at least 3.
And we can blame Top Gun for it.
I was about to say the same thing. Yeah.
And the incoming Top Gun 3, which are now planning
there's
as well,
Top Gun
apparently.
3. I mean, come on, man.
I think
Is
it
it
has
be a
some
crossover
potential,
with the new
but...
Mission Impossible movie. That's acceptable. That'll be fun.
Wow.
Let's just break fourth walls all over the place and just and mix everything up.
Well, with Beetlejuice 2, the only thing I'll say in its favour is that the best thing Tim Burton has done in ages was Wednesday on Netflix, starring Jenna Ortega. So perhaps...
But like she's been completely typecast now, man. Like she's like if you need a weird spooky girl, then just give Jenna Ortega. I want to see her do something else, man.
Well, here's the thing: is what else has she done as this typecast? She's only done Wednesday, and she just
Scream movies, right?
Yeah, she's
in the Scream movies, and she was in X as well.
Was she?
X,
I didn't see that.
X isn't. She's not really typecast in X though, as the weird girl. It's more. I suppose in the Scream movies as well, it's a little bit less so, but.
Overall, it's horror, isn't it? She's like the Saki goth girl.
Wednesday and like Winona Ryder's character, they're practically the same thing.
Very true. Very true.
Next on my long list was Mufasa, The Lion King. Again, it's a sort of sequel that no one really knew was happening, but it's now happening, and now I want it.
Prequel?
Do you really?
It's a sequel, I think. I think it's a sequel, but it's a prequel.
No, it's a prequel because it's about Mufasa becoming the Lion King.
I think it's shown from a future film though, and then it's like a past story from what I've read.
Really?
So he talks about his dad.
I am so confused right
anyway,
now.
Simba. So what I have is Simba, having become king of the Pride Lands, is determined for his cub to follow in his paw prints, while the origins of his late father Mufasa are explored.
Okay, that makes it different.
There we go. Yeah, and Aaron Pierce is doing the voice of Mufasa, and not the great.
That one's a little controversial.
What's his name?
James L. Jones.
James L. Jones. Thank you.
Darth fucking Vader, you mean?
And not the great James L. Jones.
James
Anything for you, Neil.
Isn't it live action as well?
It's it's
Quote,
like how
unquote.
the live action was done. Yeah, live action. It's like live action
as
was
close
done.
to live action as we get.
Yeah,
but like,
so it's, do you know the one with Seth Rogen in it and that did Pumbaa? It's that again, but it's
I would be way more into this movie if it was just straight up animated like the 90s one, and that might just be like nostalgia Ben talking. But like, I tried to watch the Lion King, the redone Lion King, where it was quote unquote live action, and fell asleep every time. It was just it was pointless.
So like just watching going to the zoo.
Well, going to the zoo's way better.
I like it. There's a really good news. There's a new song in it when I think is it Nala that's running back to find, or Simba's running back. I can't remember. There's a nice song there by, I think, Beyonce. Is it in that film?
I didn't even know that this was a movie until I started looking at our combined lists for this, and then I did a bit of a dive on it, and I was like, nah, there's nothing there for me. And I love the original. I absolutely love the original.
Okay, so there you go.
Like Lion King is up there with, like Aladdin for me. It's wicked.
Lord of the Rings, The War of Rohirrim, is an animated film, and it is the untold story behind Helm's Deep. 100 of years before the fateful war, telling the life of blood-soaked times of its founder of Helm's Deep, Helm Hammerhand, the King of Rohan.
The guy's name's Helm Hammerhand.
I think so. That's what this
is. This is porn. Says. You've been sucked in by something different.
That's
there, mate.
His porn star name, definitely.
The fact that this is animated actually wants me to watch it more than if it were like almost live action, because of just honestly, The Hobbit really killed it for me. I mean, not killed it, but just kind of tainted the Lord of the Rings.
I don't know a lot about this at all, to be fair, but the few little rumblings I heard when I was looking this up the other day, a lot of people just like, from what the people who said, it's like, it's fucking awesome. Give it like, this will be up there for best animated film at the Oscars.
Oh wow!
Next year.
Yeah, I mean, that's a big shout because there's some awesome stuff already. Like,
the bar's set really high of animated movies now, though. Like when you've got like one of our combined favorite movies of last year, the Spider-Verse stuff.
Yeah,
you look at like the quality of that. Like you've got they've really got to step it up. And if people are already saying that it's going to be that good, then you know what, like that actually makes a difference for me as well.
Raise the expectation level a little bit from to.
Yeah, 100%.
Interesting. I wish we could have seen Neil's face when he did that. Then it was great.
Next on the old list, we have Smile 2. It's a podcast. People can't see me smiling. It's the next film by Parker Finn, where Smile was his first film. He's back writing, directing a sequel to the popular film Smile from 2022. That's all there is to know on that one. It's a horror film. There's not much plot details.
It hasn't got like a zippy tagline like Smiler or
Smiles.
More Smiles.
The Smiler. That's a ride in
the Smiling,
isn't it?
You know. I mean, I didn't see the first one, but did it warrant an ability for a sequel? Is it just open ended?
It's not an open ending. It's it could be just its own horror film. You can enjoy it for what it is. However, it is a decent enough horror film where basically, with a lot of things, if it makes money, they're going to make a second one.
Flog it to death.
I think it's that case. It made good money. It was cheap to make, and it was a good film. It was a decent horror film. So I'm quite looking forward to it.
And speaking of horror films, David, what franchises that are being flogged to death? What's your next one?
My next one is The Strangers, Chapter 1, which does have a synopsis. It's about a young couple drive cross country towards a new beginning. Unfortunately, they have no choice but to stop in a secluded Airbnb in Oregon and endure a night of terror against three masked strangers. Now, this is a new trilogy of films, obviously set around The Stranger, the film from... I can't remember when The Stranger was. When did The Stranger
Which
come
was
out?
just a rip-off of Funny Games anyway. Anyone remember Funny Games? It was a foreign film first. I think it was a German film. And then it was remade with the kid out of Boardwalk Empire in it. People just turn up at a house and they seem normal and then they murder everyone and it's really grim and horrific.
Yeah, but isn't everything a rip-off of everything in some way or another?
Oh, Jesus. If we're going to get that existential, let's just can the podcast now, put up a sign saying out to lunch, you're on your own, and leave it there.
But the Airbnb thing, man, that just makes me think of Barbarian as well, right?
Yeah, but a lot of these sort of new wave of horror films at the moment, they all have similar sort of scares in them. They have the elongated scary woman or big scary man. You know, it's in Barbarian, it's in Smile, it's in It Follows. You know, it's that same sort of scare, isn't it, at the moment? Which is getting a bit tiresome, but
yeah. So why did this make your list then? Your long list?
I liked it. I liked The Strangers from 2008. And I'm looking forward to this one. And I
was going to say
I
that
like
was
horror,
a pretty good movie.
So yeah, there you go.
And speaking of Barbarian, David.
Yeah, speaking of Barbarian, we have the new film from the director of Barbarian, Zach Cregger, called Weapons, which Pedro Pascal was attached to until he recently left the project.
Is that because there was no children for him to escort in it that had powers?
Maybe. It's quite sad actually, because Pedro Pascal is obviously like freaking amazing and everything, and he just elevates everything that he's in. But this is about it is an interrelated multi-story horror epic about the disappearance of a high school student in a small town. So the girl that he was escorting disappears. That's why he didn't want anything to do with
it. He's not patriarchal enough for him.
No, exactly. Last film on my list is another horror, I assume. It's called Trap. It's a new M. Night Shyamalan film. I'd argue it's probably not even going to come out this year because there's currently nothing to go on. There's no synopsis. There's no
other than
nothing.
A name.
It's just Trap. That's all we got. And that's my long list, people.
And now you can shut your trap. That was terrible.
Wow, there's no need for that.
You know what? I liked it. I was just giving you the eyes because you insulted me.
And Ben, what do we have on your long list?
Is it my go? Oh, fantastic. All right, so my long list starts off with Despicable Me 4. I'm just a sucker for the Minions. It's hilarious.
Banana.
And it's the Beedor bit that killed me when he comes in as the fire brigade. Oh, that absolutely destroyed me. If you take Despicable Me 3 as the last movie in the line, we leave off where Gru's brother has turned up and he's taken control of the Minions, and Gru himself has become one of the anti-villain league. So odds on the story is going to be something along the lines of him getting the Minions back and either becoming a villain again and finding his roots, or taking his brother down and teaching him a lesson. It's pretty much exactly the same people who made the last handful of Minions movies. It's definitely the Steve Carell vehicle with being backed up by some incredible cast members. The only thing that really puts me off this and why it's my long list and not on my main list is the question that we keep asking over and over again is, do we need another movie like this? Arguably, yeah. Do we need a fourth one? And we'll see. But I'll give it a blast. Like I said, Minions are always a good laugh, and Steve Carell's fun. So that's why it's there on that list. So my next movie on my long list is surprisingly one that hasn't made it onto anybody else's list. I thought we'd all be on the same page on this, but it's Bob Marley, One Love. It just follows sort of a 5-year chunk of Bob Marley's life. From his sort of rise to fame to his death. I think it's in 81, but it's got a really strong cast. It's got Kingsley Ben-Adir, Lashana Lynch is in it, Michael Gandolfini, James Norton. So it's got a really good, solid lineup of English actors. And being a music guy as I am, Bob Marley, he's one of those people that everybody knows a Bob Marley song, but he never really gets the spotlight that he arguably deserves. Yeah. And in the light of things like Rocket Man and Bohemian Rhapsody, I don't think this is going to be anywhere near as big, but I'm really interested to see what they do with it.
Do you know, I've been to Bob Marley's house in...
Did he know?
No, he wasn't there at the time.
Oh, thieving, were you?
I mean, I can't remember. I was drunk off my face because the minibus there just loaded us up with rum and Red Stripe. And then we were so drunk by the time we got there. Do you know what? I honestly believe it's a tourist trap thing because you get there, you're absolutely shit-faced, and then you just come home and buy all the merch. So, amazing. My roommate at the time, he woke up and he had a full Jamaican tracksuit, top and bottom, and a wig, and a Jamaican cookbook. And he didn't remember buying any of it. Amazing. I was like, mate, I don't even remember how you got into the suit, the tracksuit.
Is this in Jamaica, I'm assuming, yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah. The second I got off the ship in Jamaica, I was offered ganja about 5 steps out of the port, and then and then about 10 steps off the port, it was a prostitute.
Yep.
Straight away, like instantly. Do you want ganja? No. Do you want a woman? Like first 2 questions to me as I was walking away from this bloke.
There is so many things in my brain that I shouldn't say right now, so I'm just going to move on. So my next movie that's on my long list is Bad Boys 4. Now, I've been a huge fan of the Bad Boys movies since the very first one came out 1,010 years ago. But this this next installment of Bad Boys, this seems to get sort of stuck in production hell every once in a while, and had a major setback with that thing that Will Smith did at the Oscars last year, where he decided that he wanted to try out for the new Rocky movie. But this was set back because of the Oscar slap. But the director Adil El Arbi spoke about the problems and stuff, and moving forwards, and saying that obviously you can't really do Bad Boys without Will Smith, and he's made his reparations and so on and so forth. Now, the most interesting thing about this for me was that they're having trouble with the title, which I think is ridiculous, because at the moment everybody's calling it Bad Boys Ride or Die, which would make most sense, especially as the rumor is that it's going to be Martin Lawrence's last Bad Boys movie. It could be great, it could be trash. I really enjoy Bad Boys for life, so I hope that they've got the same kind of zeal and gusto moving into this 4th one, and they're just going to cram it full of people and try and do a spin-off. It's pretty obvious. So that leaves me with my last one on my long list, which will be Venom 3. And I have a real Venom 3. I have a real love-hate relationship with these movies, because I don't think that they're fantastic, but I don't think that they're awful. And I kind of, if I'm in the right mood, these movies really hit a spot for me. And I rewatched Spider-Verse last night, and I realized that there's a Venom crossover in there where the Spot guy goes to the bodega store where
yes, where you didn't see that the first time.
I did, but I forgot about it. There's loads of stuff I forgot about. I forgot about the Lego Spider-Man in it as well, which was genius. It's making enough money to warrant a third, and I'm just part of me is going into this with no expectations, but a really small part of me is going into it hoping like hell that they've found their little momentum, and they're in their stride, and they can really put out a decent Venom movie now.
I mean, it's written and directed by the same person, which is a good start, so you've got that kind of synergy between script to screen. There's going to be less kind of interference if the writer's the person directing it. And it's Kelly Marcel, who was, I think, one of the co-writers on the previous one. So now they've kind of been given the big chair on it. But it's got Juno Temple in it, who's just been absolutely awesome in Fargo. So she's in it. And of course, they set up Stephen Graham as a potential villain with the other symbiote at the end of Let There Be Carnage.
Yes. Yeah.
I'm looking at I literally just Googled it, and it says cast Andrew Garfield. So are they actually going to try and bring back Garfield into the Sony Spider-Man films?
Well, yeah,
it's not confirmed in any way.
They're trying to figure out, aren't they? They're trying to figure out how they weave their webs, should I say, in the Spider-Verse of it all. So I mean, now that Marvel have just busted open the canon, you can do anything you want, and I love that idea. Everyone has been complaining about Andrew Garfield not getting a third iteration as Spider-Man.
He kind of did.
He kind of did. He kind of did. Yeah, in the last MCU No Way Home movie. But is this like a cheap way of doing that? Is it this could be his?
If I'm Andrew Garfield, right, I'm yeah, but it's still Sony, and you're the guys who screwed the pooch on my 2 films anyway. Yeah, whereas it was Sony, it was Marvel and Sony who clearly gave him the best stuff he'd ever done as Spider-Man.
Marvel are really the only studio that understand the character truly. Sony never really understood what they had with Spider-Man, in my opinion. It's like Warner Brothers with DC. Nope. They just keep cramming great things that work really well in other movies but it doesn't for this. But anyway,
the funny thing with Venom is that Tom Hardy is always the best thing in it. You can see what he's trying to do, and they just don't.
Yeah, if they give him a little bit more freedom, those movies would be more Deadpool and less whatever else they're putting out, like Madam Web, which is I didn't even want to mention, but fucking God, that looks terrible. Anyway, that's the end of my long list, and I hope that I'm proved wrong on some of these, and I hope I've been proved right. So enjoy.
And that brings us to you, Jose. What do you have on yours?
Oof, I have a ton because
you better be quick then, because we've been here for an hour and a half already. No, we haven't.
So speaking of too many sequels, Kung Fu Panda #4 is on my list.
There's a joke. There's a joke here about you can always watch a Kung Fu Panda movie on a plane, but I'll leave that.
Sonic the Hedgehog 3. I think these are warranted. That one.
Do you? Did you like the second one?
Let's move on to Ballerina.
I've always liked you, Jose.
Here's the thing: is I think those two movies are really focused for kids and just make them good enough for parents to enjoy them as well.
Survive.
I don't think they're like Kung Fu Panda, although I feel is a bigger step up in general.
Yeah.
Because the first one is probably one of my favorite films of all time. But I digress. Ballerina, I think, is just really interesting because it is a spin-off of John Wick, with Ana de Armas as a character that's going to take over, and it's placed between 3 and 4 of the John Wick series. And so there is that potential of Keanu Reeves appearing.
I think he's already hinted that he's going to be in it, hasn't he? He's already mentioned
it.
Yeah,
and I'm not going to like it any less if he's not. And here, there's a note here that Neil hates the director because of the Total Recall remake.
Sorry, but Ian Wiseman is a hack, man. I can't stand his...
That Total Recall make was fucking awful.
It ruins my birthday. I went to see it on my birthday one year.
You are such a delicate creature, Neil. It ruined my birthday. It's a fucking movie, man. Behave.
They didn't go to Mars. Like, the whole idea is you go to Mars. And
yes,
they didn't go to Mars.
I mean,
and not just that, they fucked up the role. Okay, so mini rant coming. So, like, in the original, Sharon Stone's role made her a star, and she was like the villain, and then she gets shot in the head, and is considered as a divorce. Amazing. So what does Len Wiseman do in the remake? He gives that role to his wife at the time, Kate Beckinsale. Except he doesn't kill her till the end of the movie. Can anyone name me what Jessica Biel's character is in the film? No, because they didn't. I don't even think they mentioned her by her character name once in the film. It was terrible. Yes. Piece of shit. And that is my one worry about this film, is that Wiseman's directing it. Like, on paper, yes, Ana de Armas should definitely be given her own action franchise after a little cameo in the Bond in No Time to Die, where she just stole the film. She was amazing in that.
She owns it in Ghosted as well. Like, that was, like, I completely agree. Like, she's an action star in the making. But I think she's got range, so
Yeah. Yes. Going on down the list, Spaceman, an Adam Sandler movie on Netflix, looks amazing. It has the wonderful Carey Mulligan. And when I watched the trailer for this, it actually kind of surprised me because it's actually very close in general scope of this book that I just finished listening to on Audible. It's by the author of The Martian, called Project Hail Mary. And if you haven't even looked at that story, I don't want to give anything away, but both this and that book look really great.
Yeah, I saw the trailer for this the other day, mate. I literally hadn't seen it, and I was like, this is Adam Sandler in, oh, wait, I can act really well mode again.
Yes,
like,
definitely.
Really good.
He comes in there every now and then, doesn't he?
He does an Uncut Gems, then he does a Murder Mystery 2, but then he comes back with Spaceman, and yeah, this looks really good, man. I got like vibes of Moon, the Jones one from this as well.
Another one is Beverly Hills Cop, Axel F.
Number 4 again.
Yeah,
it's another 80s thing that's coming back.
On the surface, I probably would have been very mild about it, but when I saw the trailer, it looks like there's a lot of actual stunts and not CGI stunts, which then that brings me back, honestly. And they have the original cast as well.
They all look really old. Like,
I mean, they are.
A lot of the old white guys in it were old white guys in the 80s when they did it, and now they're like just about there still.
And Joseph Gordon-Levitt is playing a fun character, and to see him kind of just being chill and not being like a straight-laced guy is really interesting. I think when he does that, it's really fun. The next movie is The Ministry of Ungentlemanly Warfare. What caught me was that Henry Cavill is in it, and it's directed by Guy Ritchie. And I know some people aren't fans of Guy Ritchie, but I think he has some really good hits when he does hit on all cylinders. So there's not much on that I could find, but it caught my attention.
Jack Reacher's in it as well. Alan Ritchson's in it as well.
Oh, okay. Then I'm definitely in it. I'm definitely in it then.
But like you say, it's directed by Guy Ritchie. Do you know what? Here's the challenge, right? He's got his like spy action film coming out, Guy Ritchie, Ministry of Ungentle Warfare, with an amazing cast, but it's Guy Ritchie directing it. And his old producing partner, who I still believe was the reason Lock, Stock and Snatch were better, Matthew Vaughn, has got Argyle coming out. So let's see which is the best of those two films this year.
Yeah, but like regardless of like his like producer and stuff, like I think Guy Ritchie has still got chops, man. Like I think I understand your dislike of him, but I also call bullshit. Like
he's got style. I just hate his style. Let's speed it up and slow it down again. Speed it up and slow it down again.
I actually saw the movie with Jake Gyllenhaal where he plays a military guy who gets stranded in
The Covenant.
Apparently, that's supposed to be one of his better films.
It was a really good film. I wasn't expecting much, and I was impressed.
I like Guy Ritchie doing the Sherlock Holmes movies. I thought they were brilliant. I really enjoyed them.
Yeah.
See, I thought they were good because of Robert Downey Jr., but I don't think the directing was up to scratch on it.
Really?
I think they were.
I love the bits where like. Yeah, I think it was really clever the way that he used like Sherlock Holmes' intelligence to like throw like fights and stuff. I thought that was fucking brilliant.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed that.
He did the Aladdin film as well, didn't he? The live action Aladdin.
Yeah.
No one's talking about that.
Oh, I never saw
I
that.
liked it.
No one saw it.
I liked it. I'm on David's side. You guys are just mean. You leave Guy Ritchie alone. What's Guy Ritchie ever done to you? You leave him alone with all his millions of pounds and his beautiful wives and his great life. And fuck, why am I sticking up for this guy?
I worked with. There was an extra in a Guy Ritchie film. He was an extra in King Arthur.
No way.
Oh, that you shouldn't have brought out King Arthur because that just destroys all my points.
I know, that's a terrible.
David Beckham was in that movie and it was fuck awful, man.
The next one I want to mention is The Karate Kid. Again, I don't know much, but I think with everything that's going on with the Netflix show and like the resurgence and the what's it called? What we just say, legacy sequels. Legacy
sequels. Yeah.
I feel like this has some good potential. You know, the one with Jackie Chan wasn't bad.
It wasn't good either, though, was it?
I said it wasn't bad.
I feel like this is going to be a requel, isn't it? It's going to like mix elements of all of it and start.
I didn't know this was a thing until I saw Jose's list. So I've just looked into it. It's got Jackie Chan and it's got Ralph Macchio in it.
Yes.
So what that does is that breaks the Miyagi verse. Because there's the
Miyagi.
No,
I don't think it does. Chan's not playing Mr. Miyagi, is he?
No, but there's the whole like Miyagi verse that Cobra Kai uses, and so basically, if Miyagi is interactive with somebody, it's canon within the Karate Kid film, the Karate Kid franchise. But if Ralph Macchio is interacting with Jackie Chan, then that makes the Jackie Chan films canon.
Well, he wasn't Mr. Miyagi in the original, was he?
It just makes everything, if that's correct.
Do you know what? It all depends who the team behind the film are and whether it's going to be a continuation, a movie version of Cobra Kai, or they're just going to try and relaunch it. And it's like it'll be a new cast, and Ralph Macchio just turns up in a cameo.
In the Jackie Chan one, he plays a guy called Mr. Han. He doesn't play.
Yeah,
so he doesn't.
Mr. Miyagi.
Yeah.
So if Mr. Han somehow was trained at the same time as Mr. Miyagi in Miyagi-Do karate, then like that's an easy sidestep. But I found out recently that Will Smith owns the rights to the Karate Kid. The Karate
he should
Kid
give
franchise.
them back right now.
I'm maybe sure he comes up as an executive producer.
He does on all the shows. My concern is my favorite bit of all the Karate Kid movies. Well, not all the Karate Kid movies. My favorite bits were Mr. Miyagi because he was fucking badass, and Johnny Lawrence because he was like, and in Cobra Kai he's like the loser made good. You've got neither of those two things in this movie, and that's why this hasn't made my top 10 list
yet. We don't know. There's only the two actors in it so far that we know about.
Well, that's going to be a very shit movie, isn't it?
So we so we don't know that they're not in it yet.
I mean, if Johnny Lawrence is in it, then fucking brilliant because we don't know where this season of Cobra Kai is going to take us. So but like, all right.
So I got two movies with very different tones. I'm going to start off with a darker tone. Mother's Instinct with Anne Hathaway and Jessica Chastain. It's not technically a movie that I normally watch, but ever since the December, I'm like, I really should push myself out of my comfort zone. And this trailer really makes things uncomfortable. And I honestly love both these actresses, so I owe myself to see this movie.
I put my note on your when I saw you put this on your long list, Jose, because I'd completely forgotten about it, despite only seeing the trailer the other day, and I called it "Mothers the Movie," mothering all over the place.
Yes,
it's basically that's what people will call it.
You need to get out more, mate. What the fuck does that
mean? Trust me, when this film comes out, that will be like hashtag everywhere.
Yeah.
But, basically, they play they play wives, don't they? They play not they're each other's wives.
They're neighbors with kids.
One of their kids dies on the other one's watch, and then the other one starts getting a bit creepy around the other one's kid.
Ooh.
Yeah, and it's a really layered, and it's like it takes the perspective of the mother who still has a child, and she's just like, is she paranoid? Is she not paranoid? What's going on? Because the other mother is doing things that even her husband are like, what are you doing? But there's not necessarily anything inherently evil. It's just odd. So it's actually a really layered film, it looks like. And with these two actresses,
I think it's going to be one of these ones a bit like Saltburn, where you don't know how it's going to go. You'll be watching it and going, is it going to just be regular drama and they're going to hint at like really dark shit? Or is it actually going to go to those places? And obviously the trailer doesn't tell you that because they wanted to go and see the film. But yeah, I mean, come on, Anne Hathaway versus Jessica Chastain in a Mother Off. It's going to be awesome.
In a Mother Off.
Right, Jose, this brings you to your last film on your long list.
My last film, and this was completely by accident. It's called Popular Theory, and it's a trailer about a high school kid who looks like they're in middle school. And she's a science nerd, and she enters a science fair. I don't know if that's a thing in England.
We don't have science.
It's not really,
Yeah. So she has a rival where she has to do something, and basically they create a chemical thing that makes people like them, as in popular like them. But if you're a fan of older movies and you're a fan of Sandra Bullock, you'll be reminded of the movie Love Potion No. 9. It's one of her earliest films.
I remember the song.
And honestly, yes, that was before even the movie. But the movie was really great. It was very adult, although it didn't show, like, it was still, I think, PG-13, but PG-13 for like 90s era. But this is a more family-friendly kids version where they create bubble gum to when they chew the gum, pheromones are extracted, and then they become popular around the people near them. And so it seems like a lighthearted film, and I just wanted to mention it because I think it just should be fun for anyone with kids and who wants to share it with their fammy.
Oh, nice
ending there. Better than the Mother Off.
Yeah, right.
You chose well in the order there, Jose.
Or a beach off,
or a beach off.
I'll beat you off.
Look, no one's beaching anyone off. Right, and that brings us to my long list, and I have a film called Drive Away Dolls, and it's Ethan Coen from the Coen brothers, and he's gone solo. But I think they're still going to do stuff. It's not like a acrimonious split. She's like, I'm just going to make a film by myself. And this cannot be more Coen brothers in like their traditional sense. It's a queer comedy crime caper. Try saying that 3 times fast. Starring Margaret Qualley.
Crime caper. Queen comedy crime pepper. Queen comedy crime pepper.
Yeah, you already
nailed it.
Well done, well done. Starring Margaret Qualley and Geraldine Visser-Wamphan. Do you remember she was like the lead girl in Blockers a few years back, which was a really good film. That was her first film. And they're 2 friends on an impromptu road trip who, in true Coen Brothers style, get caught up with some inept criminals on the way. The film also stars Beanie Feldstein from Booksmart, Coleman Domingo, Pedro Pascal, and Matt Damon. And the trailer looks awesome, man. Like, I saw this, I was like, I'm there. Because the trailer dropped for this like late last year, and we was like, when's it coming out? And we still don't know. But yeah, I really want to see this. It looks amazing.
Oh, Neil was looking for a reaction there from us. Oh, fabulous, man. That looks so good.
Yeah. You notice that if there's not a negative reaction from us 3, there generally isn't a reaction. None of us are going to go, oh yeah, that sounds really good, man. Cool. It's just like, I'm just waiting to go, fuck you, Neil, you're wrong.
Next up, I've got Lisa Frankenstein, directed by Zelda Williams, daughter of Robin Williams, and it's written by Diablo Cody, who did Juno and Jennifer's Body. And it stars Catherine Newton, Cassie Lang, but we'll forgive her for that, because she was also in Freaky, which was brilliant, and Cole Sprouse and Carla Gugino. And the logline is a misunderstood teenager and a reanimated corpse embark on a murderous journey to find love, happiness, and a few missing body parts. I mean, that sells you it right there.
So it really is pushing into the Frankenstein theme.
Doesn't that remind you of the zombie love movie?
Warm Bodies?
Warm Bodies. Like it's
I think this is a bit more Frankenstein-y, isn't it?
Yeah. Like, but there's that kind of and Warm Bodies was okay, but like, and I mean, but
that was fun.
This reminds me more of Poor Things that has literally just come out, where a reanimated woman, obviously she doesn't go on a murder spree.
But it sounds really strong though. It sounds really good. This is again another one that I hadn't heard of until I saw your list. So I'm like, it looks great.
Well, and next I've got a film that I hadn't heard of until I read the thing about it, and there's not really anything out. There's no like production stills or anything out from this one yet. And this is a film called Death of a Unicorn, and it's a dark comedy coming up, written by a guy and written directed by a guy called Alex Scarfman, starring Paul Rudd and Jenna Ortega as father and daughter. So already it's like, okay, that's a good team right there, isn't it? You know?
That's great casting.
You never know when Ben's being sarcastic. I've always
I genuinely mean that. I was lost in thoughts about what that could be, and it looked like my screen had frozen. But I genuinely mean that's great casting.
Well, let me tell you what the film's about.
Let me do another reaction. Wow, what great casting! I can't believe that. This is going to win.
That sounds
even
more fake.
Is that too much?
Yeah, too much. A man and his teenage daughter accidentally crash into a unicorn while they were en route to a crisis management summit with the guy's bosses, Dal Leopold and his family. The Leopold sees the unicorn, and their scientists discover that its flesh, blood, and most of all its horn are endowed with supernatural curative powers, which they seek to exploit. However, as they delve deeper into their research, they discover the deadly consequences of their actions. Now, this sounds mad as shit, man, doesn't it?
Oh, yes. Wow. So does it like...
What did they expect to find in a unicorn? It's not magic?
It sounds like that. There was an episode, wasn't there, of Legends of Tomorrow a few years back where there was a murderous unicorn going around.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
That's the first image that went in my brain with this. But it's also got Richard E. Grant, Tia Leone, Will Poulter, and NoHo Hank himself, Anthony Carrigan in it. So this sounds demented, man. And I'm totally there for it.
This sounds really good, actually.
Yeah, but is it like what genre have they put this in? Is it like a?
It says dark comedy.
Dark comedy. All right. Yeah, that sounds great.
Yeah, I hope they have really good visuals, like CGI.
Wow! Too much?
That should just be a blurb for you to post, like with no context on Twitter.
Which is wow. In caps.
And what's your opinion on this, Ben? Wow. What did you think of Madam Web, Ben?
Get out.
Wow.
Next up, I've got Love Lies Bleeding, the second film from Rose Glass, who made the brilliant St. Maud a few years back in their debut film. And this is a romantic thriller starring Kristen Stewart and Katie O'Brien as a gym employee and a bodybuilder. And the premise is, reclusive gym manager Lou falls hard for Jackie, an ambitious bodybuilder headed through town to Vegas to pursue her dreams. But their love ignites violence, pulling them deep into the web of Lou's criminal family. I saw in the trailer Ed Harris plays a psycho dad with like proper Hulk Hogan hair. He looks amazing in it. Mm-hmm. You've also got Jenna Malone and Dave Franco in it, and it's got brilliant like 80s style music in it. It's got that famous song by Bronski Beat, "Small Town Boy" on the soundtrack.
I gotta say, the cinematography and the look really makes this premise so much better. If it was just this on paper, I would not be interested at all. But I gotta say, this is really interesting.
This is her second film, and it's completely different in everything from St. Maud, her first film. So it's like because sometimes when you get a director who has like a big splash with a debut, they basically stick to their genre and do the same thing. And she's done something completely different here.
Yeah.
But also, what's surprising about it is I've got a theory on Kristen Stewart. When she's in big Hollywood films in like major roles, she's not very good. But when she's in independent films and she's the main role, she's amazing.
Yeah, the pressure's off.
So many. Yeah.
She doesn't seem to like thrive under that scrutiny of a Hollywood director. But when she's got like a little bit of freedom and a little bit of like back and forth with the director, then she can really spread her wings. And maybe she could the queen of that kind of indie vibe is definitely what I get from her.
Well, it's funny because her and Robert Pattinson after Twilight, they're both slagged non-stop for that. And then look at Pattinson's got a very parallel career, hasn't he? Now he's doing exactly the same thing. Pops into a big franchise when he wants. Generally really good in it, but when he's in his indie stuff, that's when Pattinson's like
crushes, doesn't he?
Next up, I've got If, John Krasinski's second film as a director, and this is If basically means imaginary friends. And the log line for this is: what if everything you believed as a kid was real? From the imagination of John Krasinski, enter a world you have to believe to see. Shouldn't that be see to believe? Oh no, they're being clever. Got it. I got that wrong, but right. And okay. So Ryan Reynolds and Kaylee Fleming and a voice cast of pretty much all of Hollywood, including Emily Blunt, director Krasinski, Fiona Shaw, Phoebe Waller-Bridge, Sam Rockwell, Matt Damon, Steve Carell, and just tons more. And this, I'm predicting now, could be the family hit of the summer. Because it looks, in a little place, in some places, it looks like it honestly looks like a live-action Pixar film.
Yeah, it does.
I want it to be good, but I just don't know if it will be good.
I don't know. I got faith in Ryan Reynolds, man. I got faith in Krasinski as a director as well.
That's where it gives me faith, is Krasinski is a good director, and I hope he can bring more out of Ryan Reynolds than just his usual sarcasm, you know?
Well, does it need more than that? It's like, for me, it's an imaginary friend like movie. Like, so if you've got like Ryan Reynolds just doing his usual thing, like the voice cast is going to carry a lot of it as well, especially if you've got like Steve Carell and like Emily Blunt and people like that who are absolutely like top of their game. I don't know that it's the on-screen stuff that's going to carry it. I think it's going to be the animated stuff.
Fair.
Right, and next up, I've got a film called Hitman by one of my favourite directors, Richard Linklater. And now this was out on the festival circuit last year, but it's not had a major release. But it had a bidding war when it went to the streamers, and Netflix eventually paid $20 million for it at the Toronto Film Festival. It's currently got a 96% from 70 reviews on Rotten Tomatoes, and it's headlined on that states.
Don't worry, Jose's dead now.
Jose's lost at least 20 brain cells in that sneeze.
Oh, that was a sneeze.
It stars Glenn Powell and Adria Arjona, but it's co-written by Linklater and Glenn Powell. And I love this because Linklater, he always tends to co-write with his lead actors in his films to just get that kind of better performance out of them. And a lot of people have said, everyone's been raving about Glenn Powell in Top Gun and that really bad romantic comedy that's just come out with him in it.
Have you seen it?
Terrible. Everyone, no.
How do you know it's really bad then, Neil, if you've not seen it? Don't jump
David.
On the bandwagon. You make up your own opinion about the film by watching it yourself.
My opinion is I don't want to see it because it looks terrible, and that's even with Sydney Sweeney in it. In this film, Powell plays an undercover Houston police officer, and who has to pose as a hitman to arrest those who are trying to hire him until he has to try and save a woman in need. It's called a deceptively dark thriller, but also loaded with laughs. Hitman is an outstanding showcase for leading man Glenn Powell and one of the most purely entertaining films of Richard Linklater's career. Now, this is the guy who did School of Rock, which is one of the most entertaining films of all time. Wow. So, again, if you're saying this is one of his most entertaining films, and like we say, since Top Gun Maverick, Powell's pretty much been everywhere, but the reviews from this film, I think this is the film that's going to launch him as a leading man more, because he's not been the lead in these other films till that comedy one that David's giving me shit for came out.
There's a really important question here, though. Do you think it's going to be a hit, man?
Yeah, no, because it's on Netflix.
Oh, man.
I'm going to watch it, though. It does look good.
Oh, yeah.
It's got nothing to do with the video game.
Nothing to do with a video game, man. It's a Richard Linklater film. But some of the reviews have said it's a sexy film, so everyone basically are comparing it in a little bit to you think sexy and you think crime film, then the number one film that usually jumps to most people's mind is Out of Sight.
Oh, I went straight to Sin City.
Out of Sight was pretty fun.
Out of Sight, yeah.
So that's coming out to Netflix at some point this year, but we never know because Netflix don't tell us. Next up, a film called The Holdovers, which ironically has been held over from us in the UK because it came out at Christmas in the States, and it's an actual Christmas film. And then we're getting it at the end of the month here, which is just stupid. It's directed by Alexander Payne and stars Paul Giamatti, Divine Joy Randolph, and Dominic Sessa.
Paul Giamatti just won a Golden Globe for it.
And he went straight to In-N-Out Burger afterwards. Did you see the footage of that?
Yes.
That was fucking awesome. His picture of him through the window with his Golden Globe on the table, stuffing down some In-N-Out. I was like,
I love that.
That man is a hero.
Have any of you guys seen the trailer for this film?
I've seen the trailer and I've seen documentary about it. Well, not documentary. I've seen featurettes of it talking about how they used 70s style cinematography to make it actually look more like a 70s film.
Yeah, I mean, the vibe from that trailer is massive, man. And like I say, it's a story of a bad-tempered history teacher, Paul, played by Giamatti. So, I mean, that's handy. At least when they were saying Paul on set, he knew they were talking to him and not his character. But it's at a New England boarding school, and he's the guy who gets stuck with the kids that don't have anywhere to go over Christmas holidays. So he's stuck with the kids who hate him and don't want to be there, and he's just a miserable old sod as well. Now, this film has been massively lauded in the States, like you just mentioned, Jose. And Payne is already an Oscar-winning Oscar-winning writer and director of Sideways and films like Election and The Descendants. The trailer for this looks fun and had an almost 70s kind of Breakfast Club vibe I got. You know, the rebellious students clashing with the authoritarian teacher. But then the second half of the trailer, it looks like a bit more of a feel-good drama about lonely people at Christmas bonding. And it kind of looks like it's going to soften a little bit more Giamatti's character. And Also, I'm a sucker for any trailer where it ends on a freeze frame and then the sound of someone jumping on a trampoline and really hurting himself plays out over the freeze frame. I was like, yes, that sold me on it more than anything.
Does that happen a lot?
More than you know. Yes. Not surprised at that. Next up is a film I'm seeing in 2 days' time on a preview. And from a fun 70s romp around to probably the most serious film on any of our lists this year, and this is The Zone of Interest, directed by Jonathan Glazer, starring Christian Friedel and Sandra Hüller from Anatomy of a Fall. Now, this is loosely based on a 2014 novel of the same name by Martin Amis, and it's a co-production between the UK, America, Poland. The film centres on Auschwitz commandant Rudolf Höss and his wife as they strive to build a dream life next door to the concentration camp. Now, there have been rave reviews about this Holocaust drama from the festival circuit, and despite it being an English director, this is a German and Polish language film about the atrocities of Auschwitz. Lead actress Sandra Hüller is already being talked about in an Oscar nomination for a role in Anatomy of a Fall, and also here as supporting actress for Zone of Interest. I think, I mean, this is a preview, so I only have to see it on this night, but I think this is one of those films where you really have to be in the right mood for it and know that it's going to be some heavy shit you see, because it's definitely going to be a grueling emotional experience.
It just seems it seems super heavy, but like movies like this have a payoff. Like, and I think I think you're gonna have a great time watching this. I mean, like in a cinematography kind of vibe, and like in a story wise, it's going to be brutal. Like,
But, the poster for it is amazing because you see these people having like a garden party, and then it's just black behind them.
Yeesh.
Yeah,
it's just that is a difficult subject matter straight away. So like, it's gonna. I mean, it already sounds like they're gonna handle it well. So I mean, like, let us know what you think about that, because that's gonna be cool.
From our long list, that's it. We're almost an hour in, and now it's time to start the top 10s.
That was just our long list.
I feel like we should probably tell people to just skip to this exact point. They want to actually hear the top 10s.
So, Jose, this brings us to your number 10 film. And what is it?
My number 10 film is Argylle. It stars Henry Cavill, Sam Rockwell, Bryce Dallas Howard, Dua Lipa, and John Cena, along with Samuel L. Jackson and the guy from Breaking Bad. Why did I just blank on his name?
Bryan Cranston.
But it's honestly this is number 10, and it seems like a fun movie. The CGI is a little iffy for me, but if anything, I love this cast. Sam Rockwell is probably one of my favorites, and he's playing another role where he plays a hitman. He's been in a hitman before, and in a love story, actually. But I love all these characters, and I love that Henry Cavill is probably going to ham it up a little. You expect that from John Cena and probably even Dua Lipa, but for Henry Cavill to do this, I'm really looking forward to it.
And it's directed, of course, by Matthew Vaughn.
Yeah. I think it's just it's going to be a fun movie, and as soon as I saw the trailers are really what make it for me, because like I said, sometimes on paper it could either go one way or another, but when you see it put to film, it really can make a difference.
Yeah, I agree with that. The trailer is fantastic, and the style of it is very Matthew Vaughn. Like, it's got that it's got his like
Kingsman style.
Yeah, but the stylized version of like Kingsman and stuff. But I was in Hollywood recently, and there's billboards for this movie absolutely everywhere. They're going to town on it, but it doesn't give you any context of what the movie's about whatsoever. There's
and the trailer as well. I mean, the trailer gives you that kind of initial rug pull where you start watching the scene and, okay, it's a book. So it kind of gave me a vibe of the Sandra Bullock, Channing Tatum one from the other year, The Lost City.
Oh, yeah.
I enjoyed that a little bit.
Yeah.
That was a fun movie, too. Yeah. Again, I think it's going to do really well.
Okay, and David, what do you have at your number 10?
My number 10, Neil, is the same as, I believe, your number 10.
My number 10, yes.
Are we talking the same film? Are we talking
a legacy sequel?
Are we getting a little bit twisty up in here?
Are you going to do the twist again like you did last summer? That should have been the tagline, to be fair.
Oh, man. Okay, that was good. It's Twisters!
It's Twisters!
There we go. It is an update to the 1996 film Twister. And this just made it in over a film that Ben will talk... Well, over a film that Ben will talk about later in his list. Yeah, it's a film that I didn't know that I wanted until it was a thing. And now I know I want it. Because Twister is just a fucking awesome film. And now I'm like, Twisters! Of course!
And what's funny about it is we haven't seen it. There's no trailer yet. There's no production deals. There's nothing out about this film. But what made it crazy for me is, how do you follow up an Oscar-nominated drama about South Korean immigrants trying to make it in rural America in the 1980s? Well, if you're director Lee Isaac Chung,
you add a tornado.
You make a standalone sequel to Twister.
Yeah.
Imagine it to be called Twisters, and it's got Rising Stars Daisy Edgar Jones in it, Glenn Powell again, and Anthony Ramos, and it cost $200 million, and it's just a good old-fashioned epic disaster movie. The film's also got Bad Sisters Daryl McCormack in it, Sasha Lane, Sabrina Spellman herself, Kiernan Shipka, and new Superman David Corenswet. So hey, it's got a cast as well, man. I mean,
is this going to return? Is this going to make a return for the disaster films?
I was just going to say,
you know how everything goes.
We haven't had a decent disaster film in a while. This could be.
Well, Roland Emmerich's been busy, man.
Yeah, doing what?
Thinking of new ways to blow shit up. Come on, after Moonfall. Yes, I loved Moonfall. No one else did. Everyone hated it.
We're not talking about Moonfall. We're talking about tornadoes. Chasing tornadoes. It's the most manly thing you can do. Is chase a tornado. Name one other manly thing.
Fight a bear.
Lifting heavy weights.
Being a great father.
Oh,
yeah. Takes a real man to be a father. Yeah.
Is anyone here actually a dad? I don't know.
No. But I have a great one, so there.
I think we can all agree we all love the 90s Twister, man. It was a super cheesy, massive disaster movie with Bill Paxton and Helen Hunt, and we don't have nearly enough flying cows in films these days.
I was gonna say there better be one in this.
There be a flying cow, man. But also, it's kind of going to have that kind of phenomenon and global warming edge to it, isn't it? And it's much more prescient now than it was 28 years ago when the original film came out, which also depressed me when I realised it was that long. And you know what? It's a hell of a swing to go from a small Oscar-nominated drama about immigration to a massive $200 million disaster movie. No trailers for this yet.
He did have some Mandalorian, I think, in between.
Oh yeah, he did.
Between the two, I think he did. Yeah.
So he's got the chops, man. He's got the chops. All right. Well, that brings us to your number 10, Ben, which is.
My number 10 might be coming slightly out of left field for people that listen to the things that I know we like, but I'm really looking forward to Wicked.
Yes, Ben.
Wild Wild West?
Yes, Ben.
No, nothing to do with the Wild Wild West. Me and David are absolutely on the same page on this one. It's the first part of the film adaptation of the beloved Broadway musical, and it's going to be released in November with Cynthia Erivo starring as Elphaba and Ariana Grande as Glinda. Like, I didn't see Ariana Grande making that transition to movies, but now that this has happened, and I've seen about a bajillion clips of her on, on TV show, things like Fallon and stuff. It was an obvious step. But the rest of the cast would include people like Jonathan Bailey, Ethan Slater, Bowen Yang. And I believe it's directed by John M. Chu from Crazy Rich Asians. So, if you think of the style of Crazy Rich Asians, and if you've seen the Broadway show of Wicked, I personally think this is a really good marriage of director and movie. The story itself is sort of what happens, how the Wicked Witch of the West was made, her story, and what makes her. I don't want to ruin it for anybody if you haven't seen the Broadway musical, but the musical the first half of the musical happens as a prequel, and the second half happens at the same time as The Wizard of Oz, but it's happening sort of behind the scenes. So it's a really clever, really, really well thought out story. And if the movie is half as good as the stage play, it's going to be an absolute banger.
It's fucking awesome, man.
Here's a question: Do you think Idina Menzel should have been included in this at all, or do you like that they're moving forward with other characters?
I think they probably asked her, and she probably went, "No, I've got enough money. I'm all right, thanks, mate." But
what role did she play then? Did she play the main role in the theatre play?
Yeah, she plays the Wicked Witch, doesn't she? Because she's the one that sings Defying Gravity.
Yeah.
Which is a banging tune. If it's going to be a musical as well, you've got some absolute bangers in there.
I have to admit, Ariana Grande is a great singer. I can't deny that. And she had her start on Disney, so she has that acting experience.
Yeah.
So this does have a good potential to be a really great movie.
Do you know what? It's not in my wheelhouse at all, but
you're going to come and watch it with me.
Cynthia Erivo is absolutely amazing, and if you've seen her she's done a small indie film, well, I say small indies, probably 40-50 million, with Chris Hemsworth, called Bad Times at the El Royale. where she plays a singer, and that was such an awesome film. And she's so good in it. Dakota Johnson's in it as well.
I actually meant to watch that, but I keep forgetting the name of that movie.
Yeah, Bad Times at the El Royale, Jose. It is an underrated.
It's a great mystery movie, isn't it?
Also, she was in that TV show, The Insider, with Jason Bateman, and she was one of the main characters in that, and she was brilliant in that as well. So I've never not seen her be absolutely amazing in everything I've seen her in so far.
And now you're going to give a canvas of a $200 million movie. So I mean, like, come on, man! Like, this is going to be great. And whether it's like a turn your brain off, just enjoy it for the sake of it, or you're a super huge fan of The Wizard of Oz and everything that comes with it. Like, I just can't see this being a bad movie.
I'd be interested to see if people add a theme to it, like they did with Barbie, like everyone wear green.
Oh,
that'd be pretty
cool.
fun.
Yeah, that would be cool.
I like it.
It started here. Jose started it.
Yes, I started it.
You can pay us in super yachts, please, one each.
Yeah.
Jose will bring them over from Florida for us. Right,
There we
Jose,
go.
that brings us on to your number 9.
Let's see. My number 9 again is a really fun movie. And it's
Maybe
The Fall Guy.
We don't know yet.
Oh no, I saw the trailer. It's The Fall Guy with Ryan Gosling, Emily Blunt, and Hannah Waddingham. I had to mention, and Aaron Taylor Johnson. Those are the big names. Winston Duke, you might know as M'Baku from.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, he's in there. I can't really tell how big of his role is. Black Panther, yes. But again, this is kind of like a fun take on the movies. It's a stuntman. Ryan Gosling plays a stuntman who
He's
is
done that
kind of
already.
like
Full Drive.
yes. So I mean, this is a funnier version though. This is a really fun, like goofy take. It really, I can tell he's going to be a comedic role in this. And Emily Blunt plays a director who they have a relationship together. So I think they're probably going to be taking the piss out of the whole industry right there alone.
It's got that
And
potential, hasn't it?
Yeah, Aaron Taylor Johnson plays the movie star, quote unquote, in the movie within the movie. And not to kind of give it away, but it is given away in the trailer as the main plot. Aaron Taylor Johnson's character dies, and Ryan Gosling is brought in. Spoiler. And then Ryan Gosling is brought in to kind of figure out what happened, but it's definitely vibes of The Nice Guys, and I love The Nice Guys.
Nice Guys is.
Yeah, and so I really am. This really is why it made my top 10. Is just because there's so much potential if the writing is done right. Emily Blunt is honestly great as a dramatic actress, and I'm really curious to see how she is again with the comedy. Last I think I really saw was Devil Wears Prada. I'm not really sure if she's done other comedies.
She was in that Jungle Cruise.
Jungle Cruise with The Rock. Yeah.
Did not watch it, but I think that movie's not a great indicator of anything.
It's a really great indicator of how you can piss away a bunch of money.
That's true. And to be honest, Hannah Waddingham, I think, is a draw from Ted Lasso. So I think
there's so many people from Ted Lasso that are going on to do amazing things, and
I'm so happy for them.
And good on them, absolutely good on them.
Do you know what? I didn't enjoy the trailer, Jose. Like on paper, this should be right up my street, but it just seemed super cheesy and not in a good way. And it just feel like we've seen Ryan got. It's almost like they went, right, let's mix Drive with Ken. There you go, and call it The Fall Guy.
Are you telling me you wouldn't watch that? You're a psychopath.
No,
that sounds like one of the greatest movies ever. Come on, man. It's Ken driving around in a bright pink Barbie car, kicking the shit out of people. It's going to be fucking awesome.
So here's the thing: I think because they're trying to avoid giving away too much, they had to put in a lot of the funny moments. And so I can definitely agree with you. It can feel cheesy, but it's because so much was put in back to back.
Here's the thing, right? It's directed by David Leitch, who did John Wick, the original John Wick, Deadpool 2, Atomic Blonde, and Bullet Train. So you know the action's going to be good.
Love those, yeah. And a big fan of Atomic Blonde, which I don't think it's talked about as much as it should.
I like that movie. That was good.
Yeah.
All right. Moving on to your number 9 film, David.
My number 9 is a film that's also starring a rather famous Ryan, and it is Deadpool 3, starring Ryan Reynolds, which is probably going to be a lot higher on other people's lists. And they'll be able to talk about it a lot more passionately than I might. But I will just say, it's still a film I'm looking forward to. It is the one sort of MCU. Is it? No, it's not an MCU film, is it?
It
is.
It is an MCU now, yeah.
It is.
I'm going to retract what I said and I'll say it is going to be the first MCU film that I'm actually looking forward to for a long time.
I'm not going to talk about the movie, but like until later on, because it might be on my list later on, but it might be on someone else's. I don't know. But I'm really pleased that you're looking forward to seeing this, David, because I'm really interested to see your take, because we don't often have like similar taste and stuff, but when we do, we have similar views on it. So I'm really interested to see what you think about this movie.
Oh yeah, no, I mean I'll probably like it. I've liked every other Deadpool.
I don't mean now. I mean when you've seen it.
Oh yeah, okay, yeah. Put me on the spot there. I don't know.
Yeah, tell me how you feel anything about this movie right now.
Despite this being episode 88, we haven't got to the DeLorean to go ahead and see Deadpool 3 early.
Good fucking thinking there, man. Good thinking. That was clever. But no, the only thing that would really fucking piss me off about this film is because there's been such fucking thought like about Wolverine being in it. If it's like just a really small cameo, that would piss me off. Like if it is just like if it is just like one of those like it's 10 minutes at the beginning of the film.
I honestly think you're going to be so wrong on this, David. There's no way Hugh would go through all that bollocks and training for that again, would he? So as I said, I think we'll close the door on Deadpool 3 for the time being, because I believe it may come back again. So that brings us to Ben's number 9, which is.
I've gone with Kraven the Hunter. Now, technically, this is a Marvel property, but it's owned by Sony, and it's in the Spider-Verse. It's one of the things that Sony gobbled up when they bought all the rights to just about everything that Fox didn't pick up back in the day when Marvel was struggling and trying to make some money. Kraven the Hunter, technically he's a bad guy. It's an origin story. It's J.C. Chandor is going to direct Aaron Taylor Johnson as Russian immigrant Sergei Kravenov, who seeks to demonstrate that he is the best hunter in the world. Kraven the Hunter is based on the Marvel comic of the same name. Other cast members include Russell Crowe, who just keeps popping up in stuff like all over the place.
Definitely going to be his dad, isn't he?
Definitely going to be his dad. If there's an accent to be done, you call Russell Crowe first, because he's done them all so far. Now he's going to have a crack at a bit of Russian. Good on him. Ariana DeBose and Christopher Abbott. Yeah, again, like it's another one of those movies where there's not a lot known about it. Kraven the Hunter, best hunter in the world. He's going to go around hunting stuff. And then somehow they need to set up the fact that he has a
He's
vendetta.
not a bad guy now.
But what he is, I believe they're trying to set up the Sinister Six. Sony are trying to do Kraven the Hunter was part of the Sinister Six with like the likes of the. Oh, it depends on which comics you read, but like the Green Goblin's in there sometimes. You've got Rhino. Basically
Doc Ock.
Yeah, you've got basically everybody that you could see in the background of the last Spider-Man movie. Sony seemed to be trying to set this up in the same way, probably a bit more ham-fisted than the Joker movies that are coming out this year as well. Neil, I believe you might have something to say about this.
Well, if you look at the cast list on Google, Alessandro Nivola is in Kraven Hunter as Rhino.
Oh, cool. Okay, that was the Andrew Garfield property. Rhino, right? He was
Paul Giamatti
played him. Yeah. Oh my god. Yeah.
If it wasn't the Sony film, I would actually be excited about this.
Yeah,
exactly. Right.
I'm despite it being a Sony film, I'm excited because
Ben still has faith in them. Like that's why Venom 3's
No, I
there
don't
as well.
have any faith in that at all. I have faith in Aaron Taylor Johnson because, and also I feel like he deserves a bit of a dig in another Marvel property because I think he was robbed as Quicksilver.
Yeah.
Like he was one of the best things about. He was absolutely robbed. It was one of the best things about that movie, and now he's getting a chance to have his own little, his own go. And I think he's going to be great. And I think it doesn't have to be a complicated, over the top comic book movie. It can just be what it is and still be good.
Fingers crossed.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I think he made a name for himself with Bullet Train, didn't he? When you outshine Brad Pitt in a film.
Yeah.
He's done really well.
Brad Pitt wasn't in that movie to do anything but be Brad Pitt. Like everybody else was in that movie to make a point, and I think they all did.
All right, that brings us to my number 9, and that is a film called Civil War. Not the Guns N' Roses song, but written and directed by Alex Garland, so Ex Machina, Men, and Annihilation. Civil War looks like a documentary from 10 years in the future if America keeps heading down the same path it's on.
Whoa, shots fired, bro.
Yeah, man. We have an American here, man.
Let's be honest, it's very likely.
I knew Jose was going to say that, so yeah. And the log line for this is, in the near future, a team of journalists travel across the United States during a rapidly escalating civil war that has engulfed the entire nation. struggling to survive during a near-future civil war where their government becomes a dystopian dictatorship and partisan extremist militias regularly commit political violence. Yep. Now, I think this film is going to completely divide its audience purely based on what your politics are. But then Garland has never been afraid to make difficult, intelligent literature and cinema. And he recently said in the Daily Telegraph that the film is a companion piece to Men, which I don't know how, because that was bizarre as shit. And it's set at an intermediate point in the future, just far enough ahead for me to add a conceit, and serves as a sci-fi allegory for our current polarized predicament. I mean, look, last year we saw how future sci-fi, where America has issues like The Creator, didn't do so well at the box office. But I don't think Garland cares, and it's an A24 production, and it only cost $50 million. But then you look at the actual film and who's in it. It stars Kirsten Dunst as one of the reporters, and also features Narcos Wagner Moura, so Escobar from Narcos, except he looks about 20 years younger than he did in Narcos, which is insane because that show's about 10, 15 years old now. Mm-hmm. It's also got Stephen McKinley Henderson, Kaylee Spaney, Sonia Mizuno, Mr. Dunst himself, Jesse Plemons is in it, and only bloody President Ron Swanson. Yeah, Nick Overman as the dictator president.
That was pretty good. That was a pretty good choice.
I mean, the idea of the film is fascinating for me because as the opening as the trailer started, the opening news tells us that 19 states have succeeded, and we have a 3-term president and something called, Jose, you're going to love this, the Florida Alliance. And apparently, Texas and California have joined together, calling themselves the Western Forces.
I thought that. That's the one thing I saw in the trailer as well. That's like the most.
That's the one that threw me. Yeah, I'm like that. They're opposites. They're complete opposites.
That's their plan because they're on the opposite side and they're going to get everyone in the middle.
Here's the thing: this is not something I'm excited for, but I think it's going to be really good. It reminds me of the American version of Children of Men. You know?
Yeah. Good shout.
I really think that this is going to be our take on things that could happen, because the Children of Men was just so good, and it was it's its own thing, but like with foresight.
Yeah, I mean, before you said this film was made for only 50 million, I was going to ask if it was the biggest budget A24 production, because it looks like it is, just from the trailer. It looks like it would have a really hefty budget behind it, more than 50 million.
I think it's just very good directing, mate. And
I think it's kind of like The Creator, where they got their shots and then used the special effects wisely, and they didn't waste their money on it.
It's got bags of potential. Like the story's got like bags of potential, and like and the sheer fact that it's being put across the way it is, for the budget that it's got is great. Like, and it's definitely an exciting movie. Is it gonna be like? Is for the question I'm asking myself is it gonna be like The Creator, where like the tiny budget that forces everybody to just absolutely bring their A-star game and put like and knock it out of the park, or are they going to ham-fistedly handle stuff? Like the thing that worries me like is that the alliance between California and Texas, and you're like, well, like not only are they not they're not thematically the same like places right now. You couldn't have two places that I would have thought that would have been the thing that kicks off the Civil War, is like Texas says something that pisses off California, or California says something that pisses off Texas.
Politically, it's the complete opposite ends of the spectrum.
Yeah, like totally. If it was New York and California, I'd be like, yeah, I mean that makes sense. But it's just not that one thing, and they're probably going to explain it away in the movie, and I'll be here in a few months eating my words, and I hope that's what happens.
Yeah. All right. So from a Civil War to your number 8 film, Jose, which is.
Oh, I got the wrong thing clicked. Hold on 1 second.
Quick, close Pornhub.
My number 8, another really interesting out there world, Borderlands, based off of the video game that I personally have played. There hasn't really been a whole lot been talking about ever since they had a couple photos with silhouettes and a cast reveal. It just looks like Jack Black is playing a voice of a character. Kevin Hart. Claptrap. Yep. I didn't know if you guys had played the game.
I've played the game, yeah.
Little robot thing, isn't it?
Jack Black playing Claptrap.
Jack Black playing Claptrap.
It's worth seeing just for that.
Kate Blanchett, Jamie Lee Curtis, Gina Gershon's going to have a role. Bobby Lee.
It's directed by Eli Roth, and I honestly think this is the biggest property and the best cast he's ever been given, and I'm interested.
If anything, it just seems like it could be another fun movie, although Kevin Hart's recent movie with the plane...
Lift.
Yeah.
Why didn't they call it Plane? Stupid.
I mean, practically, if you put that much metal on the outside of an aeroplane, it will not fucking fly. All right, physics. Just saying. Behave.
Yeah. So again, I think I'm excited about this film. I don't know how good it will be, but I think the cast and the director all have so much potential. And I don't know if there are any clips. I haven't really
There's
done
nothing out in a minute.
There's nothing. I was thinking
nothing.
about putting this into my top 10 as well, but I didn't because there's just nothing to go on.
But hopefully it's because they want to hold back and blow everyone away. Honestly, I think because the game is just visually like really.
What was everyone's favorite game? Because for me, 1 was better than 2, and 3 was better than 1. I think.
Oh, we're talking about which version of the Borderlands. I only played the first one, so I'd say then I guess that one.
I played the second, which I really enjoyed, and got all the DLC for it. And then I was enjoying the third till I was like, however many hours into it, and then it just had a game-breaking bug, and I was like, I cannot be bothered to go back and play it from the start again.
Oh man,
yeah. So first world problems. Okay, so Borderlands at number 8 there, Jose. And
there we go.
David, what do you have at number 8?
At number 8, I have A Quiet Place, Day 1, from the director Michael Sarnowski. Yes, I pronounced that correctly. And
pronounced correctly.
How did I fuck that up?
Pressure gets us in different ways, mate. You're
right. Jeez, you should see me in the bedroom.
Nope, absolutely not. Edit note for Neil. Take that out of my brain, please.
Thank you. I appreciate you. And from the mind of John Krasinski, we have the plot is under wraps at the moment, so there's not a lot to go off. But
I mean, there is.
We can all safely assume that it's going to be about the first day in the A Quiet Place universe, where everything just fucking hits the fan. We saw a little bit of it from John Krasinski's and his family's point of view in the second film.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think it's just going to be more of that. I really enjoy those films, and yeah, looking forward to this one.
And Ben, that brings us to your number 8.
My number 8 is something we've actually already talked about. I've gone for The Fall Guy, the Ryan Gosling action comedy. I just think this is going to be fun. Like, I'm really up for like a good comedy action, and like I know what Neil's point about the trailer just being all hammed up, but I feel like that's done on purpose. Like it appeals to me on that ludicrous level of like the broken-hearted like stuntman who's like trying to find like trying to get back together with his ex who's the director and stuff. It just seems ridiculous and fun.
It's very relatable.
Yeah, it's very, very, very relatable to normal human beings like me. But like it honestly just looks like a whole bunch of fun. Turn your brain off and enjoy it, and like I'm definitely up for that.
Yeah, jury's out for me on this one, but like obviously I'm going to go and see it, so hopefully I'll be pleasantly surprised. At my number 8, hey Mickey, you're so fine, you blow my mind. Hey Mickey.
Hey Mickey.
Now do that 17 times, and that's the name of the film. Mickey 17. I wasn't going to do it 17 times. That'd be insane. Yeah, Mickey 17 is the first film from Parasite director Bong Joon-ho since his 2019 Oscar success. And it sees him write, produce, and direct Robert Pattinson in an adaptation of the novel by Edward Ashton that follows the story of Mickey 17, an expendable, not one of those ones, who is a disposable employee on a human expedition sent to colonize the ice world Niflheim. After one iteration dies, a new body is generated with most of the memories intact.
Wait, Niflheim?
Yeah,
as in the Norse world.
Yeah, they've just called it that. It's not actually the Norse one. I'm assuming could be a Stealth 4 sequel. We don't know. Bong Joon-ho, man. The film also stars Stephen Yeun as Berto, Naomi Ackius, Nasha Ajaya, Toni Collette as Gwen Johansson, and Mark Ruffalo as the amazingly named Hieronymus Marshall. So, yeah, that's a hell of a cast there. Now, look, the teaser trailer's out there, but it's literally just a spinning shot of Pattinson in some kind of, like, subspace water tank thing. But damn it, if I'm not here for a Bong Joon-ho movie, and I mean, Parasite was amazing. It's one of the few foreign films originally I got my parents to watch, and they actually loved it, because that film is just that fucking good. And let's not forget, he's done dystopian sci-fi before really well with Snowpiercer.
The Chris Evans one?
The Chris Evans one, yeah, same director.
Ah, all right.
Have you guys seen the movie Moon with Sam Rockwell?
Yeah, it's got a bit of that. idea to that.
This premise reminds me of that, so I'm wondering how different it's going to be.
Well, saying that, mate, another link is it sounds a lot like the Black Mirror episode Beyond the Sea with Aaron Paul that we just talked about a little while ago.
Yeah.
With like, you know, the fake person in the replacement, although he's an actual fake person. And also there's that film with Paul Mescal and Saoirse Ronan on Amazon at the minute called Foe, which is also that exact same story. And it's one of these weird films where really good actors, and it's terrible. It's like that Beyond the Sea episode stretched out to 2.5 hours. And you're like, oh, they're doing some really good acting. I don't care because it's so fucking dull. But, you know, this is Bong Joon-ho, man. It's written and directed by a Best Film Oscar winner. So I have faith this is going to be truly excellent. In fact, it's been put back because they're going to release it later in the summer because they think it's going to be a bigger hit than they're already planning it for.
Although Oscar-winning directors have made bad films.
Oh, yeah, usually right directly after they've won their Oscar. So, hey, you never know. But that brings us to your number 7, Jose.
Alien Romulus. Again, this is not very much information, but I'm a huge fan of the Alien series. I think I'm also a fan of the Predator series. So the premise is a lot of children are on the cast list. I'm kidding, but there are.
And they're all going to get murdered by a xenomorph or a xenomorph. I don't know how to pronounce it properly.
Already, bad premise for a movie. It's going to suck. Everything since Aliens has been dog shit.
Yeah. So this is set between the first and second film, and it has a few children involved, and it kind of has the same premise.
You're not selling it here, man.
You know what? I like Alien movies. That's all I have to say.
Wait, has there been a better franchise of films with bigger directors involved than the Alien franchise?
Well, there's not been that many directors.
Yeah, Ridley Scott, Cameron, Fincher,
and Jean-Pierre Jeunet.
Yeah, I mean they're fucking brilliant directors. That's just
but to be fair, that was Fincher's first film and he hated it. That was Jean-Pierre Jeunet's first film and he hated it.
Still did it, though, didn't he?
And then Ridley Scott come back and just started doing whatever the fuck he wanted, really, as opposed to making an Alien film. But look, I will say, where the fuck did this come from, right? This was barely on our radar at all. Because last year, what we knew was that Fargo creator, the TV Fargo show, Noah Hawley, was making an Alien TV show. And so I'm amazed that there's another actual Alien movie was being made at the same time. But it's directed by a man who knows his way around his gory horror franchises, and that is Evil Dead's Fede Alvarez. So this was the 2013 kind of reboot Evil Dead. And the logline, Jose, is young people from a distant world must face the most terrifying life form in the universe. And yeah, it does start a mostly young and an upcoming cast with Priscilla's Kaylee Spaney again in the lead. I saw that film recently. She was amazing in it. Never heard of her before, but she's in quite a lot of big films coming up soon. So she's definitely one to watch. Isabella Merced, David Johnson. He was in last year's great British indie film Rye Lane. That's on Disney Plus now. If you haven't seen that, that's a really brilliant British rom-com. And it's got Archie Reno from Shadow and Bone in it as well. But this originally was going to be a Hulu streaming only film, and I'm guessing they've had a look at it and go, oh, actually, shit, no, it's really good. And also, we're not going to make the same mistake we made with Prey, the Predator prequel that came out the other year. That had a really low. I mean, I'm hoping this is going to be like that. You know, it's going to be more or less standalone. I've got faith in this director, man. Like I haven't seen a bad film he's done. He's not done a lot, but he did Don't Breathe as well, which was really decent.
Like Prometheus, but that movie just winds me up. Like there's no
zigzag, Charlize, zigzag, and then it won't hit you.
Yeah, I mean, come on, man. Like you peaked with the Space Marines and just everyone getting eaten and Bishop being like awesome.
If you think about it, with the Predator movies, they came back with Prey, bringing it back to basics, and actually did a good job with it.
Yeah, and I thought Prey was fantastic, but then like what was the Predator movie before?
The Shane Black one, The Predator, which was an abomination against all my.
That was bad, but like I'd still rather watch that than any Alien movie after Aliens.
Really?
Ooh, yeah, seriously.
Rough. I'm going to drag you to see this, man.
I will punch you in places you shouldn't be punched if you try. Like honestly, until people start watching it and start telling me that it's not a god awful mess, then I
want to see your reaction to the trailer when it comes out, and hopefully.
Well, you can't really trust trailers, man, because like this is what you say. You go, the trailer looks great, but trailers are meant to look great.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
All I was going to say is that at Comic-Con, Michael Biehn was at Comic-Con, and I went up and chatted with him for a little bit because it was like when Comic-Con wasn't really big in the UK and you could actually approach these people and they weren't a lot of money to speak to. Anyway, Michael Biehn was there and I went up to talk to him. I had a really important, wanted to talk to him about Aliens and the Terminator. And when I got to him, my brain just completely fucking melted. And I must have come across like a right bloody idiot to him. And that's my Michael Biehn story, everybody. There you go.
Oh, I thought there was gonna be some sort of like burning insight there. It's like I spoke to Michael Biehn and he submitted the script to this and it was fucking unbelievable. It's gonna be the best thing ever.
He's gonna be in it.
That's what I wanted to find out. That's the shit I wanted to talk about.
Everything Ben hates about alien movies.
And then it didn't happen.
The last thing I'll say on this is that the lead actress in it, Spainy, she said that the film takes place between the events of the end of Alien 1 and leading up to Cameron's Aliens in 86. But she said, most interestingly, on a production point, they've brought in the same team from Cameron's Alien films. So the same people who built the Xenomorphs actually came on and built ours.
Amazing. So they're super out of touch and don't know anything about modern movie making. Great. That's going to be awesome.
Or they could okay. So...
You're never going to win me over on this one, man. Just move on. God, I've had enough.
My number 7 is Maxine.
With
I tried to
X's.
really emphasize the X's there with the Maxine. Yeah, I hope that came across. It is the sequel to T-Wex's X and the third film in his sort of Mia Goth horror franchise of slasher films. And this one is, it's going to follow Maxine after she's survived all of the incidents from X and she's killed
Spoiler alert,
Pearl. You don't, shh. That film came out ages ago. People are listening. And she's just trying to, she's trying to make it fame. She's going to be a star, and we're going to follow. I mean, Mia Goth's fucking awesome and everything. Obviously, she's back as Maxine. But yeah, Maxine. Really looking forward to it. I fucking love the T West films, and he's becoming one of my favorite sort of slasher horror directors, along with a bunch of others.
I believe it's pronounced Ty
West. Oh, my bad, people. My bad.
So when you go meet him at a Comic-Con, you can go, sorry, I pronounced your name wrong.
I just come across like an idiot to someone else, won't I? It's not hard.
That's the spirit.
All right, so Ben, this brings us on to your number 7.
My number 7, we've already talked about, is Borderlands. I'm coming to this from having not played the video game. So it looks like it's got a really good cast. Like everybody that I speak to that has played the video game raves about how great it is. And I think that we're starting to get like slightly better video game movies now. Like, people that have seen I know it's not a movie, but The Last of Us, it raised the bar, and everybody knows that. Even stuff like the Mario Brothers movie, which was one of my favorites from last year, like even that pushed like what a video game movie can and should be. So I think that Borderlands stands to be like a really good version of a video game movie.
This brings us on to my number 7. So how often do you think about the Roman Empire?
All the time.
I'm thinking about it right now.
I also think about like the aqueducts and stuff. It's really important, man. And how that empire, like how like people always think that like...
That was a shout for a joke, David. I don't care.
Oh, my bad.
But what have the Romans ever really done for us? That's what you got to ask.
Roads, sanitation.
Well, apart from the roads and sanitation, what have the Romans ever really done for us? See, that's how you set up a joke and someone gets it, David.
That was better, Ben. That was much better.
Thank you, Neil.
But anyway, yeah. So 24 years later, we finally get a sequel to my dad's favourite film, and probably most people's dad's favourite film, Ridley Scott's Gladiator, and it's been a long and strange path to get here. Now, the best part of 7 years was spent trying to find a way to make a story that could somehow bring back Russell Crowe's Maximus. Crowe wanted to come back via like a fantastical route, and Scott wanted something more grounded, and they basically didn't see eye to eye on it, and so the project floundered. The strangest development in this story was musician Nick Cave did a script for it, and it was called Christ Killer. This is insane. It's going to have a deities versus deity versus humanity storyline, and well, it was a lot. Are you guys ready? So, the premise involved Maximus in purgatory, who is resurrected as an immortal, eternal warrior for the Roman gods. In the draft, Maximus is sent to Earth and is tasked with stopping the momentum of Christianity by killing Jesus Christ and his disciples, as their movement was gradually siphoning off power and the vitality of the ancient pagan gods. During his task mission, Maximus is tricked into murdering his own son. Cursed to Live Forever, Cave's script included Maximus fighting in the Crusades, World War II, and Vietnam, with the end revealing that in the modern day period, he now works as a character at the Pentagon. Now, the script was ultimately rejected and scrapped. Yet part of me would absolutely have loved
someone
to see
in
that
Hollywood
made.
read it.
I really hope this gets made into some sort of amateur film or something. Like,
No,
someone
Nick,
does
honestly,
it.
it's a real script that Nick Cave wrote.
Yeah,
It's not like some
I
like
think
fan
us four.
fiction
I think
thing.
we should get together and make this movie.
Isn't this basically God of War almost?
I think Russell Crowe will be on board, right? We can get him in.
I've told you how to get Russell Crowe. Just give him an accent that he hasn't done yet.
So look, with time passing, Crowe's involvement in the idea of Maximus coming back was pretty much nixed completely by Scott. And the writer of Gladiator 2 is David Scarpa, who's just worked with Scott on his recent Napoleon. Now, the easy way to do the sequel, if you're going to have to do one, which, did we really want one? No. But they've decided that the protagonist is going to be a grown-up Lucius, who will be revealed was actually Maximus's illegitimate son. That's pretty much confirmed, by the way. So, who is stepping into Russell's sandals? Well, step up Paul Mescal. Connie Nielsen and Derek Jacobi are returning in their roles as Lucilla and Senator Crassus. New to the cast are Denzel Washington as a former slave turned wealthy arms dealer who has a grudge against the emperors. And you have co-emperors with Stranger Things' Joseph Quinn, who's having a hell of a year, as one of the co-emperors, Caracalla, and Fred Heckinger as the other, Getter. In unnamed roles, everyone's favourite child escorting babysitter action guy, Pedro Pascal, was in it, who, if we don't remember, the last time we saw him in a gladiator arena fight of Game of Thrones, it didn't go too well for him. So honestly, it's really interesting casters. Also, Matt Lucas is in it.
That's
and
May
Calamay. Matt Lucas has got Roman Senator written all over him, hasn't he? You know, you can just see it now.
Or he's going to be one of those guys like sitting on a chaise lounge being fed grapes, like they based that Futurama character on, you know?
Like I was when we did Joseph and Technicolor Dreamcoat at school.
Yes, like you were, yeah.
I was fed grapes on stage.
By
hard work.
Yeah.
With Pedro Pascal, do we think they're going to go the cheap route and have him killed in a gladiatorial arena again? Or is he actually going to survive? There's so much scope.
I hope he has his eyes popped in and basically his skull burst open. Exactly the same way.
I hope he does that to someone else, so he gets a bit of a karmic. Do you think he's going to be like? I mean, I feel like Pedro Pascal can kind of like he can write his own ticket. He can pretty much say like, I'll be in this movie if they give him the script, and he's like, oh yeah, I kind of like the idea of that, but I want to do this. Is he going to try and step away from the?
He's not even named yet, though, so he's not going to be a main character, is he? So
well, no, but he doesn't need to be. I mean, he could. I'd like to see him in like the gladiatorial like side of things, but as like one of the
champions,
one of the champions, or one of the trainers, or something like that. Like
Yeah. So the main idea of the film is that Mescal's Lucius, for some reason, has been out in the wilderness for 15 years. He's lost touch with his mother, who thinks he's dead. So I'm guessing no one knows who he is. So he has to fight his way back into proving who he is and overthrow the evil emperors on the way. So, as Russell Crowe said, are you not entertained? Well, it's Sir Ridley, so we probably will be.
Yeah, I mean, if they throw as much at this as it looks like they're going to, like this is going to be it's going to be a good movie. It might turn up on my list later on because Gladiator is one of my all-time favorite movies of all time. When me and my girlfriend went to Rome last year, we sat there in the hotel room just down from the Colosseum watching Gladiator before we went and did a Colosseum tour. Like you couldn't get much more fanboy about a building than me in the Colosseum. So
love the Colosseum, man.
I'm all about seeing this. I'm definitely nervous about what it's going to be though.
Right, well, that brings us on to Jose's number 6.
This film is something that I will only talk a little bit about because it is higher on someone else's list, but it is Ghostbusters Frozen Empire. It has the same cast as the first for most of the main characters, and it just again, it just looks like a fun movie. It's back at New York. And New York. Hey. That's the extent of our accents.
Get on up out of here.
Again, this is the list where I think this is going to be a fun movie. Paul Rudd ending the trailer with a deep laughter when the villain comes. It just seems like a really fun opportunity for the cast and the crew to make a fun movie.
I'm cutting a theme here with your films, Jose. A lot of them are like really like entertaining movies. You just want to be entertained.
It's almost like that's what people want to see.
Oh, no, that's what. Well, like a lot of some of our other movies are quite like dark and depressing in some ways, or they're about.
You do like a lot of murder, David.
And it's just like a good, nice, wholesome, entertaining movie.
I go to have a good time,
nice.
not to cry my eyes out.
That's it, man. I like it.
Okay, well, as I said, we're probably going to be talking about in a bit more in depth about Ghostbusters in a little while. So, David, what do you have at your number 6?
My number 6 is the film that you were just talking about, Neil. It is Gladiator 2, and very much like Twisters, it was a film that I don't think anyone really wanted or asked for. And then when it came out, everyone's like, "Fuck yeah, I want to see that film." That's Gladiators. Didn't know I needed it until it was there. I think like Ridley Scott, like Neil said, faith in Ridley Scott. I don't think he'd be attached to the project unless it was good.
Yeah, he's only made one bad film at the age of 85. He's made one bad film out of his last like 3 or 4, which was House of Gucci. The accents, man, and Jared Leto. Just no. But then he did.
I think we're going to stop Jared Leto. Come on, let's put a stop to him. Let's just.
As you said, 30 Seconds to Mars isn't a fact. But we should try. We should put him on a rocket and try.
I've seen 30 Seconds to Mars, and I didn't really like it, if I'm honest. No. Did you, Ben?
Well, you're not a young woman with...
It was like the Jared Leto show. Like, they're a band. Yes. And, like, the band was, like, fucking in the corner, hidden away. And it was just Jared Leto on a stage. And I was like...
A friend of mine backstage at Download Festival told Jared Leto to fuck off. And it was the day before he was cast as the Joker, or he was revealed as the cast of the Joker. He did the Jared Leto had this whole... It's quite common for people to not want to wear passes backstage if you're like one of the bigger bands. And Jared Leto had one of these 30 Seconds to Mars things. It wasn't just him, it was the whole band. And it had this whole thing. He wasn't wearing a pass and his face was on some of the pass sheets. So security knew when he walked up to them to let him through. And he barged through security with his big security guard guys, and he bumped into my mate. And my mate just turned around innocently, which went, "Oh, fuck off, mate." Like, you know what I mean? Just like as you do, like you're like he's raining at Download Festival, and like as Jared Leto sort of walked away from him, he sort of turned around and started giving him shit, and my mate was like, "Oh fuck, that was Jared Leto. That was." Then he sort of went, well, "Hang on, no, that was really rude. I don't like, you know."
It was double down. No, I was right. Fuck you.
And then so then the next day he gets announced as the Joker, and I text my buddy. He was like, "Dude, do you realize you just told the Joker to fuck off? That might be the coolest thing you've ever done."
I don't think we can top that. So Ben, what do you have at your number 6?
Gladiators 2.
Woo!
Yeah, it's going to be fun, man. I know what I've just said. Like, but it is just going to be. I think it's just going to be a romp. I think it's going to be so much fun. I'm going to get back in. I think we should have a little sound clip that just every time we're talking about a movie that's a legacy sequel, it just goes legacy sequel every time.
You can record that for us and give us it.
I just did it. Legacy sequel. We can be rest assured there's going to be a healthy dose of nostalgia in there, and like just a lot of fun. Whilst people get their heads cut off and, you know, blood spurts all over the arena floor. Like, I'm into it. It's going to be great.
Yeah, can't wait. Right, that brings us on to my number 6, which you just mentioned before, David, which is Maxine with the 3 X's. Now, I got a little bit more on this than we got into when you were talking about it. And as we said, this is the third part in Ti West's Trillahology?
Ooh,
Horror trilogy.
Trillahology. I think that's better.
Name of my band. Now, look, X was a brilliant throwback to the Texas Chainsaw Massacre in terms of its aesthetic and tone, probably more so than Netflix's Bulgarian Texas Chainsaw Massacre they made last year, which is like, I mean, if you have a film in the title, right, film it in the place. Like, you don't make a film called Texas Chainsaw Massacre and then go to Bulgaria. That's just bollocks, man. Like, you haven't got enough space in Texas. Anyway, I'm getting off the point. X and Pearl, they shot in New Zealand. Yes, also not Texas, I realise. But when COVID hit, they were one of the few places where they could keep filming. And so they'd made this horror film X, and then the writer and the writer director and Mia Goth were like, we've got an idea for a prequel that we can do while we're in New Zealand, and also we've got all the crew and all the sets. We can keep filming when no one else in the world can at the moment. So I said, yeah, sure, go ahead and do it. And they made Pearl, which was this absolutely bizarre, fucked up cross between Wizard of Oz and Psycho. It's just insane. And it's got probably one of the most disturbing last shots of all time in the film. Well, Maxine is the third in the trilogy, so it's going to follow on with Mia Goth's character after the end of X. And it's her ambition to be a star in 1980s Los Angeles. And yeah, joining her in the cast, as David mentioned, you've got Elizabeth Debicki playing a film director, Kevin Bacon as a private investigator, Gus Fring himself, Giancarlo Esposito as an agent for the adult film industry. And you've also got Michelle Monaghan and Bobby Cannavale as 2 LAPD detectives. So, again, this is set 5 years after the events of X, and she's now acting in a slasher film in 1980s Hollywood. But right as she's doing this, the town is being terrorized by a serial killer. You might remember at the time, the Night Stalker. So this story is going to take place parallel to the Night Stalker happening.
Oh, cool. Richard Ramirez, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And unfortunately for Maxine, the killer is fixated on her and starts to kill people in her circle. And this had its first test screening a few weeks ago, and the reaction was really positive. They said, "You'll love this, David, with your horror tinge at the minute." They said it's a gory homage to Dario Argento and the subgenre of giallo, likening it to Lucio Fulci's The New York Ripper.
Nice. I like a giallo.
You love a giallo and a jelly. X was an unexpected delight, and Pearl was a massive statement of Goth's screen presence, more so than X. And yeah, I just can't wait to see what mayhem the two of them cook up this time.
I was going to ask you, like you mentioned, with X being Texas Chainsaw Massacre, with Pearl being Wizard of Oz, and Psycho sort of merches. What did you reckon this one was going to be? Maxine. What did you reckon Maxine was going to be a homage to? But you kind of just said it. Yeah.
80 serial killer films. So yeah, I can't wait to see it. The cast they've got this time as well, because obviously Pearl and X had really small casts. So this time in LA in the 80s, we're like the hair rock metal era and all that kind of stuff going on with a serial killer in there. They are two of the best horror films of recent years for me, those two.
Yeah, it's cool that Ramirez is going to be in it as well. Like they've tied in an actual serial killer into it. Yeah.
David loves the serial killers.
I do like serial killers, man. They're more famous than famous people.
How many do you know?
Serial, what, like just actually I've met, or just in general? Oh, none.
It was a sweeping statement. I was trying to make a glib comment and move on, but it didn't work.
I thought you was testing my serial killer knowledge there.
No,
I don't know. Natasha, she's met a few. Anyway, move on. That's cool.
Okay.
If David ever disappears, I mean,
you'll know why. Yeah.
Actually, we won't know why.
Suspect's number one. Okay.
But there was no trace of him. That's fine. She literally works in a lab for police stuff.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Yes.
Right. So that brings us on to Jose's number 5.
My number 5, Godzilla X Kong: The New Empire.
The new album dropping from Godzilla X Kong, featuring X Kong.
Yeah, I mean, this is just a guilty pleasure. I didn't watch Godzilla -1 yet. I do plan.
There's no connection to it, though. To be fair, man,
no connection. But this does have a connection to the previous Godzilla movies, Godzilla and Godzilla King of Monsters,
and Monarch as well, which I'm watching at the minute. Which is it's fine. It's okay.
And it just seems to up the ante. It's going back to the original island, and the trailer shows multiple Kongs. No sign of other Godzillas, but there's a threat hidden beneath the world that faces the existence of survival of the human race. So we're going to see a lot of fighting. I think that's just enough for me, honestly.
How much more space under the crust of the planet have we got for these monsters? Because there's a fuckload of them down there. Like, I mean, the real estate down there must be getting.
I don't understand how
busy.
It works. How is there
Hollow
daylight?
Earth theory? Just Google it afterwards, mate, because there's not enough time.
Okay.
Just watch the last Godzilla film.
I did. I still don't get it. Like, there's daylight. How is there daylight down there?
It's like, well, because it's between there and Australia.
Yeah, glowworms. I don't know.
Flat Earth.
Well, look, this has got. They've added Dan Stevens to the cast, and he's obviously worked with the director Adam Wingard before on The Guest. I just love the fact. I mean, they're going full cheesy. Like the last one was cheesy, and I enjoyed it. That was like coming out of COVID. That was like a really big hit, that film, because people were just like, yes, this is what cinema is. It's not. This is like the pure cheese. Like, yes, we've got actors in it, but no one really cares.
Yeah,
we want the giant monkey hitting the giant dinosaur. That's it.
But
fuck shit up. And they gave it to us.
Back to, is that like the Kong movie where you had like some really heavy hitters of like Brie Larson and
Samuel L. Jackson
and Tom Hiddleston and
basically the Avengers versus Kong.
And like, all I remember of that movie is just Kong just running around flattening shit and just being awesome.
You got to think Pacific Rim, because I think that really brought in the giant things beating up each other genre. It was such a good movie, and I'm glad they didn't make a romantic thing out of the two main characters at the end. Let's just
the two big robots. Friends. Yeah, you don't want the robots to get under.
Who's the big bad in this one?
The secret villain underground.
The secret villain in the center of the earth.
God.
Yes.
God's going to come down and Kong, like Godzilla's got to beat up God.
Orangutan.
There's a
version
bunch
of
of orangutans, and you don't know if there's one that has gray hair. You don't know if that is the main villain. Potentially could be, or there could be something else that we don't know about.
As always in these films, it's all our fault. We're the bad guys.
Here we are.
Humans are the
Men
virus that
worst.
needs to be extinguished. Who knows?
Podcasters are the worst.
Godzilla
aren't they?
is the Godzilla franchise is the sequel to Oppenheimer. I don't know if that's
Yeah.
if it's made it that far
Oh.
yet. So
Oh.
Think about
Cillian
it.
Murphy
Think
in
about
the
it.
next one.
that would
Just
be
looking like this.
awful. What a down step in his career. Oh my god.
So, Cillian, you just won the Oscar for Best Actor. Do you want to be in Godzilla 4?
45.
And it's a romantic comedy all of a sudden.
Oh
yeah,
my
you
God.
and Godzilla. It's a female Godzilla.
Love Island, Godzilla. Oh
Oh.
god, that's just fucking.
I'd watch that only if he ate an atomic breath all the participants. And the show was a minute long. And it was just them turning up on the island looking like idiots. And then Godzilla just roars and
That
like
should be
burns
the
them.
opening to the next Godzilla movie. It's just Love Island happening, and then in the background, like a murky,
Godzilla.
like Godzilla comes out of the water, flame, like radiation breaths the whole fucking place, and everybody freaks out. That would be amazing. I'd watch the shit out of that.
Hollywood, employ us now. Give us all the money. Right. So, David, this brings us on to your number 5.
My number 5 is, I believe, the same as Ben's number 5.
God, we've got so much in
I
common.
think we're sharing number 5s, which is, I mean, I don't want to spoil it for you, Ben.
Like
so
a
do you
child
wanna-
with mixed custody.
And I also don't want to pronounce the title because I don't think I can.
Folie adieu.
Fully as you.
Okay, there we go. Thank you.
Folie
Okay,
adieu.
there you go. He is clearly more cultured than I am.
It means part 2, doesn't it?
Joker, Folie adieu. Is that, yeah? Did I do good?
So, what's the film,
Okay,
David?
good. It's Joker, the Joker sequel that everyone's looking forward to. There's no plot details to it yet, but Joaquin Phoenix absolutely fucking killed it as Arthur Fleck
And people.
and people as the Joker / Arthur Fleck, and you add Lady Gaga as Harley Quinn. You add musicals, which I love. You add Steve Coogan and Brendan Gleeson, and you got a fucking good film. And I'm really
Well,
looking forward to it.
hopefully. I mean, the title actually means madness for 2 in French.
It just had 2 in it, and I
Oh.
assumed it meant part 2. Madness for 2.
Well, we know who's in it as well, right?
All we know is the same people who were in the first one, and they've added Lady Gaga. I mean, Lady Gaga, right? She hasn't been in bad films, so
Why do you think this is going to be a bad film as well? I think it's going to be a great film. Did he do his singing in Walk the Line? Was he the person singing in that, or did they use like old footage of music from?
I think in most movies they get the actor to do some, and then they get a voice double to do some, and they have it all
Yeah.
mixed together. So it's not necessarily like
Because
one
that's
person's.
the only film I can think of where he's done any singing. That I
And that, I mean, that was an extraordinary film as well. So I mean,
yeah, oh yeah, dude, I'm looking forward to it. I think it's going to be a brilliant film. What's not to love?
I don't know. I guess my level of excitement is not as much as yours, David. I'm going to go and see it.
Have
I'll
you
probably-
not seen the images?
the what?
The images from it of her in the court scene, and she's all like, "Fuck you." Yeah.
Oh no, I
You
haven't
know?
seen that.
I love how animated David's getting on this. All right, so this is actually my number 5 as well. David is correct. I was kind of into the first one. Like before it came out, everybody I knew was way more excited about it than I was. I was like, do I care about a Joker origin story? Turns out that as a standalone movie, I thought it was spectacular. Like I rewatched it again recently. It was phenomenally good. And this, in its own little bubble of just like the Joker, I think is going to be great. A friend of mine is actually in this movie, a guy called Lee Gill. Yeah, he's the scene where Arthur he comes off his medication in the first movie, and his 2 friends turn up at his door, and it's the guy that's bullied him, and like the guy that's been nice to him, and the Joker who Arthur kills like the big guy right in the room, and then so Lee Gill is the other guy in that scene. And
how do you know him?
He's friends. He likes a lot of the bands that I tour manage and work with. And last summer we were at a festival and we were hanging out, and he was telling me about obviously he's signed NDAs and stuff. He didn't tell me any of the plot or anything, but he was saying that the amount of work and effort that he's put into his character for this, it has changed him as an actor. Like, and him and Phoenix like had some really like good interactions. No, I don't mean like acting interactions. I mean like afterwards, like they were chatting about stuff, and he's learned a lot as an actor, like from this movie, and it got me very excited about the project itself. Obviously, Lee can't go into any details about anything that's going on, like and he you know he wouldn't. He's a professional, but like just the enthusiasm,
his excitement from working on it.
His excitement about working on the project
made you excited.
Yeah, it was completely contagious, and I'm here for it. I really am excited to see what it is. The images that like David's talking about feels like it's taken a step up. It doesn't feel like it's coasting. Like it's like if you're going to bring in the quality of actor like Lady Gaga into a movie like this, you have to step up, and I don't think you have any choice but to go big or go home. And I think that's what they're going to do.
Right, well, that brings us on to my number 5, which isn't on anyone else's list, which is a surprise, or long list, and that is Furiosa, the 5th Mad Max film. And this is the prequel to 2015's Fury Road, which starred Tom Hardy replacing Mel Gibson, and Charlize Theron as in Purieta Furiosa, who plays one of the main lieutenants in that film, until she betrays Joe and then teams up with Max to take Joe's wife to safety. That's that film. Now, the premise for Furiosa is, as the world falls, young Furiosa is snatched from the green place of many mothers and into the hands of a biker horde, led by the warlord Dementus.
You just can't make this shit up, can you?
I mean, they did.
That was
joke. Two tyrants war for dominance over the Citadel, probably not the TV show on Amazon that was pants. Furiosa survives many trials as she plots her way back home through the wasteland. Now, I mean, that sounds great and all, but spoiler, we know Furiosa ends up working for the main bad guy in Fury Road, so I can't see this film having a happy ending. Also, she's going to lose an arm as well. So, like, you know, this film isn't going to end in a good place.
I feel like this movie already has her with a missing arm. In the trailer, it looks like...
She's got it at one point, and then she hasn't. So, obviously, I'm recognising that bit of the trailers from near the end of the film, right?
Okay.
But then you cast Anya Taylor-Joy in the lead, and immediately you have most people's attention.
Yes.
She's nailed the accent already and the look in the trailer. And Hemsworth gets to play a gloriously mustachioed warlord called Dementus. And British actor Tom Burke is in it as well, in an unnamed role. Coming back from Fury Road, you have, and again, these names, man, Nathan Jones as Rictus Erectus and Angus Sampson's Organic Mechanic.
Hey.
That is a great band name right there. Rictus Erectus and the Organic Mechanics, man. That is a band.
We've got to stop putting porn names up on our podcast. This is getting ridiculous now. I swear to God, when I was 15, I saw that movie.
Right, look. This looks amazing, man. There's better, more awesome slow-mo shots in this than Rebel Moon. And it looks like a super fucked up heavy metal version of Mario Kart. And there's a line in the trailer right at the end. That's what they should put on the trailer. That should be our poster quote. It's a super fucked up heavy metal Mario Kart.
This is also a Legacy sequel. Legacy sequel!
As he says at the end of the trailer, do you have it in you to make it epic? Yes, George Miller, I think you do.
Is this a bad time to tell everyone that I've not seen Mad Max?
Oh, you should. Just go watch it.
I've not seen any Mad Max, anything, any of it. Nothing.
Interesting.
You don't need to really have any background in the other ones to watch the more recent one.
To be fair, any of the films you could just pick up, really. They're not kind of like... You could just start with the Tom Hardy one, mate. Fury Road, which was also amazing.
Yeah, very good.
I have to admit, I did forget about Furiosa. It wouldn't really be in my top 10, but it would be on my long list.
Why was Theron not back to play the character?
Because it's a prequel. Too young. It's her as a young girl. Getting kidnapped.
Okay.
So this brings us on to Jose's number 4, I believe, and a film I have no idea about at all, Jose.
The movie that I picked was the American Society of Magical Negroes. And yeah, it has an interesting premise. Basically, a young man is recruited into a secret society of magical black people who dedicate their lives to making white people's lives easier.
What?
As weird as that sounds, the trailer does a better job of describing everything, and it's definitely a satire on the society and the dynamics between white people and black people. I don't have a whole lot of information, but I think one of my favorite things is that David Alan Grier is in it. He's a great comedic actor. And then Justice Smith, who I think is a great rising actor, is in it. And he's also from the movie that you had as your number one, David, Dungeons and Dragons. So last year. So I think this film has a lot of potential. It doesn't take itself too seriously, and it really just allows it to be kind of a great, fun film. And I think it's just different enough to where it's worth watching. Yeah.
I'm going to have to see this trailer, man. I knew nothing about this one.
Dude, I'm watching it right now, even though we're meant to be doing a podcast.
Yeah. Could you please stop doing that, David?
Okay,
anyway, David, we're up to your number 4.
My number 4 is the new Robert Eggers film, Nosferatu. And his take on the classic, like, original, one of like the OG, is it the original horror film? It's one of the original horror films from 1922 of the same name, Nosferatu.
It's because when Bram Stoker's Dracula came out in 1897, they couldn't, even back then, they couldn't get the rights to make Dracula. So they just did a rip-off and called it Nosferatu. So Nosferatu actually is a rip-off of Dracula.
Oh, wow.
And it's just because the original Nosferatu was 1922 by F.W. Murnau. And it was an unauthorized and unofficial adaptation of Dracula. So they just basically did the same story and changed it slightly, but not really. Just changed the names.
What Neil said. It's got William Dafoe, it's got Nicholas Hoult in it, Aaron Taylor-Johnson as well.
Lily Rose Depp, Emma Corrin.
Yep, all these people.
William Dafoe.
Nicholas Hoult's in this one. Wasn't he just in Renfield?
Yep. And I think he's playing pretty much a similar role.
Someone's getting typecast.
But this is, Robert Eggers is one of those directors for me at the moment, similar to Ari Aster, where when a film comes out of his, I'm going to need to watch it. It took me a while to watch Bay Was Afraid, admittedly, from Aster. But Eggers, with his, like, The Lighthouse, with The Northman, with The Witch.
All brilliant, man.
Everything he's done so far has been gold.
They're not easy watches, though, sometimes.
The Lighthouse I didn't think was an easy watch first time around. Second time I watched it, it was like a
third time for me. I was like, okay, I get it, it's genius. But yeah, the first time I fell asleep.
Nosferatu for me, that original from 1922, it's one of those films like that you're meant to love, right? Because it's a classic film. It is the film that everybody harkens back to. It's one of those films that you're meant to really like, but you're just lying to yourself if you're actually enjoying it.
It's 102 years old now as well, David.
I suppose you can accept, you can like take it for what it was and see that it's like a product of its time, blah, 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 blah. So I'm looking forward to seeing Robert Eggers do it. Already just some of the screen grabs from it look just so good. Like with his like claws, his hand, which are like claws going over a shadow of a woman. Just like little images like that just look so good.
Yeah, I can't wait, man.
I'm looking forward to this. If you can't wait, why was it not on your top 10, Neil?
Because it doesn't come out in the UK this year, David.
Yeah, it does.
Oh.
It comes out in America on Christmas Day, and there's no official release in the UK for it yet.
Is there not a UK?
You know what? Let him have his movie.
Let him have it.
Yeah, we've got an international correspondent. Why are you being so mean?
You've actually made me sad.
Because Jose gets to see it first. Merry Christmas.
I'll get to report on it because I will probably see that.
This is a weird film to bring out on Christmas Day.
Yeah.
I think it's in a way it's kind of good because it'll be so different from everything that it will have an audience to pull.
Merry Christmas, murder. Like, okay, yeah, kids animated film, superhero film. No, let's go and see.
There's a lot of people out there that don't, that don't subscribe to Christmas like the way that we used to, like back in the day. So like, there's definitely going to be a market for that, and I think it's pretty smart. I think that's going to be a good move.
All right, well, this brings us on to Ben's number 4.
My number 4 is Ghostbusters: Frozen Empire. Terrible title. Fucking awful trailer. But it's Ghostbusters. I cannot not get excited about this.
I don't think it's the worst trailer, but
it's definitely not the best trailer. I mean, it's scatty. It's all over the place. Like I didn't like.
I got a Jaws vibe from it at the start, man. The beach stuff. I was like,
like there's. I mean, that's kind of cool, but like the sheer amount of violence of that beach scene doesn't say Ghostbusters to me. Like,
well, we didn't see anyone getting impaled.
No, but the implication was there, and that was a bit jarring for me for a Ghostbusters movie. So I'm going to talk about the negatives of it before I talk about the positives. The negatives, like I said, like that, it seems like the trailer doesn't seem all that good. They've squeezed so many people into this movie. You got the original cast alongside like Paul Rudd, Finn Wolfhard,
Carrie Coon.
And everybody like from Ghostbusters Afterlife. So they're like mashing these two movies franchises almost together in a way that feels like no one's going to get a proper amount of screen time. The title is bad. Like that is a bad title.
Especially when in the trailer there is a line uttered about the new evil and they call it the Death Chill.
Yeah.
Like Ghostbusters, the Death Chill. There you go.
Much better title straight away. So those things for me made me really, because I wasn't aware they were making this movie until the trailer dropped.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah,
and I was same. How did that fly under my radar? I'm a huge Ghostbusters fan, like the original. Oh, and I should also mention Legacy sequel. But in and of itself, like I have high hopes because Afterlife was such a good movie. Like it was simple, it was uncomplicated. They dealt with a lot of stuff that needed to be dealt with so they could move on. And what I think there, Neil, we saw each other recently, and we talked about this briefly, where we said that it feels like a lot of people have reacted negatively to the trailer. So they've started dropping stuff in, like they just did a big Empire spread on the movie, where they said that they've started to take ideas from the real Ghostbusters, the cartoon, like from back in the late early 90s. Yeah. So they've taken like their chops from that. The positives, I think, still for me outweigh the negatives in the fact that I've got a lot of faith built up in the Ghostbusters brand and the original cast being there, and that I was actually in an elevator recently with James Acaster, who's going to be in the movie, and had a very awkward non-interaction with him where he had his headphones on, looked very much like he didn't want to be talked to by anybody, so I just pushed a button for my floor and left him the fuck alone.
Wow.
But like, you should have quizzed him about everything. You should have invited him on the podcast.
I should have been like, I was like, I really want to get you on my podcast.
You did a David and you blanked.
I did. I didn't blank. I read the room. And I read it. I read it well.
He didn't do something weird and strange that made an impact.
Yeah, I didn't say, "Excuse me, Mr. Acaster." Oh, is that how I say your last name? No. But
that sounds like someone you would do, David. To be fair.
But no, like I hold out hope this is going to be great. Neil, you said something to me the other day about this, where you said that the name Frozen Empire leads you to believe, or gives you the thought that the end set piece is going to be at the Empire State Building, which hadn't crossed my mind one bit. But when the second you said that, it won't leave my brain now, and I really want to see that. I think that would be fucking brilliant. But yeah, because I know this is on other people's lists as well, so I should really stop talking.
Yeah, keeping it in the family. Actually, Jason Reitman stepped down after doing Afterlife, and I think obviously because his dad Ivan Reitman did the original Ghostbusters, and he passed away just after Afterlife had come out.
Yes.
So I mean, probably making that with his dad there in the background was probably like a really nice. Yeah. Probably it's probably a bit emotional to go back, and he's probably done with it.
Yeah, that must be tough.
But I think it's just I think for Reitman, like he got to they got to do the tribute to Harold Ramis, and then obviously that was just this perfect experience with his dad in his right before he passed. So, but stepping up to the director's chair this time is Gil Keenan, who was one of the writers of Afterlife. So again, it's in good hands. But he's a British writer-director, Gil Keenan, and he made Monster House a few years back, which was quite good if I remember it. So, as you said, this film sees both casts mixed together, but back in New York. What's encouraging is I read an interview with Keenan the other day, and he said, "We are now in the post-Gozerian era of the Ghostbusters saga, so that means we're able to stretch out and create a new mythology. And that's thrilling as a storyteller because they're all new and terrifying stakes with fresh visual references to draw on." So for those of you who maybe didn't like the overt nostalgia of Afterlife, wasn't me, I thought it was perfect fan service and nostalgia. This could be more your speed if you didn't enjoy that. I mean, the opening of the trailer, as I said earlier, gave me like vibes of Jaws with the whole beach scene. But as you said, that Ghostbusters is comedy and a bit more than horror. And like people were definitely impaled and killed in that scene, right? So how did they get around that, or just did everyone magically get lucky in it?
The worst thing that happened in the first Ghostbusters movie is everybody got covered in fucking marshmallow, and that was like earth-shatteringly bad. Yeah,
And his girlfriend got turned into a dog.
Yeah, but then she came out of a big dog husk. Like, it was fine.
Yeah, as you do. As you mentioned as well, like new cast members added. James Acaster's been added. Patton Oswalt's in it. Who
he's in everything, though. That's fine.
He's in everything.
Doesn't matter.
And Kumail Nanjiani's going to be in it as well.
And who is a brilliant comedic actor. So, but is he going to do the thing that he did in the Obi-Wan Kenobi, show where he's like he's that like fake version of and is everybody going to get a Ghostbusters uniform?
If you see the Empire article you mentioned, the picture has got Janine with Ghostbusters back on.
Yeah,
which is awesome.
Everybody gets a proton pack. Everybody gets a uniform. Everybody's happy. But is that too many Ghostbusters? Probably.
It depends how they balance the cast, right? Look, I'm like you, mate. At the end of the trailer, I love that bit at the end of the trailer when you got like the ice ghost lady walking up towards our main characters, and then Paul Rudd just starts like chuckling in anticipation. I was like, "That's the tone, man. That's exactly the tone."
But it's almost like a nervous laughter, and they're back at the original firehouse, which I visited, which is cool as fuck. Like, I just there's a lot there for me. So like, yeah, I'm down with this. This is gonna be great.
All right. Well, that brings us on to my number 4. And we've already talked about it because it was Alien Romulus. And we can skip right ahead to you one more time, Jose. And your number 3 film, which is...
This is one that I only recently realized was coming out, is Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes. It is a sequel or a continuation of Rise of the Planet of the Apes, War of the Planet of the Apes, or Dawn of the Planet of the Apes, if you're a fan of that one. It's all part of this. The only difference with this one is it is set 300 years after Caesar. So that character is no longer part of this series, so to speak. It was part of the
transition. But somehow they'll make Mark Wahlberg relevant in there.
God, I hope not.
Yes. It was part of the acquisition through the studios. So they just wanted to use this...
intellectual property.
They wanted to make money.
Correct. That is true.
Apes stronger together.
What's interesting is Freya Allen is one of the characters that's going to play a human. She's an actress from The Witcher. Yep. Which I think she did a really great job there.
Ciri from The Witcher?
Yes. So I'm really excited to see her.
Set off all my Apple devices. Thank you.
And then, there's the usual cast of other apes and orangutans. Kevin Durand, if you know him, he's a great villain. He's going to play one of the villains in the movie. I saw the trailer, and really it always comes down to just beautiful, beautiful CGI and character work. And so I just know that this movie is going to be good. It's very unlikely that it isn't, and I'll be disappointed if it is bad.
I mean, it's I suppose the unknown thing is the director, and that's Wes Ball. And I hadn't really even heard of him, so I was looking him up. And he's the guy who did the Maze Runner films, which were like just the most bland, by the numbers, teen dystopian films, weren't they? Having said that, according to the IMDb, and again, that's probably 2080, and it's not true. He is down for the adaptation, this director, of The Legend of Zelda.
Whoa.
Okay. So, potentially, have they seen how good his work on this new Planet of the Apes film is? Because obviously all the studios have seen it and it's locked, right? So if they seen what a great job he's done on this potentially and gone, yep, give him Zelda. So,
yes, or they just...
That is a massive one, yeah. Dude.
Yeah, so...
huge.
I'm really excited for this. It's just a really good series of films. So
like the War, Dawn, and Rise of the Planet of the Apes. I feel like they're films that don't get enough credit.
No, yeah,
because they are all really, really good films. It's a really good trilogy.
I couldn't disagree more, man. I think these films are rubbish. I think they're fucking
you
terrible.
You said earlier that we had the same taste.
Yeah, I really dislike the Planet of the Apes movies. Like, there's something inherently off about them that I just don't enjoy, and it's a very personal thing. I don't know what it is. Like, you'd think that
you don't like monkeys, man.
With the action set pieces, I'm gonna gloss straight over that.
What do you got against the monkeys?
Well, it's not just monkeys. There's great apes in there as well. But like you'd think that there's like with my taste in movies, these would be exactly the type of things that I'd like the big hero like moments in there, the action set pieces, it should speak to me. And lots of people that I like, lots of my friends are just like, I can't believe you don't like these movies, but I just don't. They just don't vibe with me. I prefer the original ones to the newer ones, which is weird.
Yeah, I mean they're obviously brilliant as well. Aside from the remake from like 2000. Is it?
Yeah, we don't mention that.
Oh, God.
That's like, we shouldn't talk about that one. Obviously, the OGs are fabulous as well. But...
I watched them all a few years back, and I couldn't believe how dark and twisted they went.
They were, right?
They were mental. proper crazy.
There was a bit more to him. Like they didn't like knock on the door of like climate change and like throw it in your face so blatantly and like, you know.
Here you go, climate change, catch.
Yeah, have it, and like, you know, and the only way to get that, the only way to really like put that across to an audience these days is to do it in a Planet of the Apes style, you know, type thing. But like, yeah, it just
or Twisters.
They don't see, yeah, or Leonardo DiCaprio and his Oscar speech, like when he got that. But like the for me, they just don't sit well. They don't land for me, and I don't think this one will either.
Wow.
I feel like you should revisit them.
I'd say the way that they're so niche, I understand that can happen.
Yeah. We've established Ben doesn't like apes. He clearly had a bad experience at the zoo one time.
Racist ape man.
Where did the orangutan touch you?
I'm not ape racist. I like them. I think I enjoy them in Jungle Book. They were great. I just don't think they scare me when you weaponize an ape. Maybe that's the problem.
When you give them a horse, when you put them on a horse and give them a shotgun, I'm out of here.
Yeah, like apes and monkeys riding horses, man. That's just two parts of nature that shouldn't hang out. I'm not into it.
Moving on to David's number 3.
It is again Inside Out 2, Pixar film. Anything Disney and Pixar I'm into, just in general, regardless for anything. And we're going to continue following Riley on her little adventures as she becomes a teenager, and she's probably going to go through puberty, and the little puberty button turns up, and it's going to go. Brr, brr. No, really, yeah, man. I really like this film. I really like the first film. I thought like the moments where you're inside other people's heads are hilarious. Like when you see the kid that bumps into the girl, and he's like, girl! I just fucking love it. I love Pixar. I mean, what's not to love about Pixar? And we're gonna get Maya Hawke is introduced as Anxiety, and apparently there's a bunch of other emotions that get introduced to the film, which no one knows about yet. But yeah, I'm really looking forward to this. It's going to be good.
There's no trailer out or anything, is there?
The trailer is the introduction to Maya Hawke.
I've seen the trailer for it, and it looks like another Pixar romp of epic proportions. And it was fun. Like, Inside Out, the first one was great. It was like tugs on all the heartstrings. It does everything that Pixar does like perfectly well.
I mean, Bingo or Bongo or whatever his name is. That like fucking hell, man. That's heartbreaking.
Bing Bong.
Bing Bong. Thank you. Bing Bong.
Yes. Such a sad moment.
I mean, do you know what's really sad?
Is that sad moment when David forgot his name.
But that's all about. That's how he dies, man. You have no idea. You have no idea how sad that is that I forgot his name, because it's all a part of it. It's all a part of it.
Oh.
All right, moving on before David continues his nervous breakdown.
No, it's too late. He's fully into it. His little anxiety guy in his brain has kicked off.
Well, I tell you who does have a load of anxiety. People in your number 3 film, Ben.
My number 3 film. All right. So this is definitely on someone else's list for sure. My number 3 film of this year is Dune Part 2. Dune, the sequel to the sandworm loving, spice mining, awesome movie from 2 years back now. All right, so it's Denis Villeneuve's sequel, continues the journey of Paul Atreides as he embarks on a warpath of revenge against those who destroyed his family, whilst also attempting to prevent a terrible future. I know that there's like a whole host of human beings in this that are phenomenal in their field. But I just want to really quickly go to like award season. And when I was watching any of the award stuff that was on TV, I always saw Timothée Chalamet just sitting in, like, just clapping for everybody getting their awards. He was like, yeah, I'm here because Wonka was probably nominated for something. And just in the back of his mind, I'm just like, I could just see him thinking, you wait till next year. You fucking wait till next year. June is getting all of these awards and you guys can all get fucked. Like, it already the trailer looks fucking ridiculous. Like, and I know we've already said in this, don't trust the trailer, but fuck me, that is a good looking trailer.
It's fucking awesome, man.
You cannot bet against Denis Villeneuve. The man has not made a bad movie. And he's made amazing movies. He's on the run. He's on an all-time run.
Yeah, he's the big thing now, right? He's like up there with like all of the massive directors, like Scott's, the Spielbergs, everyone. Like, I
compare him to Nolan and Cameron at the minute. He's one of the few directors whose films are an event, and he perfectly straddles that kind of line between art house and blockbuster. You know, you get the depth and the character development and the
grit.
of the art house, but he does spectacle and that gets the average fan in who didn't give a shit about that and just wants to see cool space battles.
It's unreal. This is like it stands to be one of the great trilogies as well. Like when like if there is a part 3, because we know like how these things tend to work in Hollywood.
Can you imagine if we get to the end of Dune Part 2 and it's like to be continued and we're like,
yeah. I mean, we could go into Dune Messiah. We could go into Children of Dune. We could go in. You could just keep going.
Six books? Is that Jose?
I'd say 6 films.
Yeah,
6 films.
Because we've only gotten halfway through the first book, right?
Here's the thing, though, right? The books kind of fall off the crazy cliff a little bit at a few down the line. We're not going to give away spoilers for those who've read them.
And in this film, and in Messiah especially, it gets really fucking dark.
For this particular run of films, if there is a third, I mean, like Jose just said, sorry, that we're only halfway through the first book with this movie. They could end it here. Like with just,
I think they will.
Yeah, I think they will as well.
book.
Yeah.
Because I think it's too much of a big tough sell on the other material.
Villeneuve won't come back, I don't think, for a third version of these. Yeah,
we need. I honestly, I'd love to see another great trilogy, like another really truly epic.
To be fair, I think this film might include Dune Messiah in it, because Dune Messiah basically just finishes off Dune in a weird in its own way. It's like a tiny extra part onto because I've got on here. I mean. I can't show you because it's a podcast. But Dune is obviously like a nice thick-sized book, and then Messiah is like it's almost like a novella.
So it's an epilogue. It'll be the epilogue, right?
Essentially, yeah.
Oh, okay.
It'll be a 30-minute long after credit scene at the end of the movie,
and we'll be fine with it. Like 3:30 in the morning when we see it on IMAX on opening night in Ashford, back to back with the original.
Like you guys were saying earlier about awards season and stuff, I really hope this is going to be like the next fucking Return of the King.
It's going to be, man. I can't see how it
takes fucking everything.
Yeah.
It just takes everything.
It has to.
The only thing I think it would worry with, that it might not, is the acting awards.
Yeah, it's not. It's going to get all the technical, and hopefully it'll get, I don't know about, it'll get best adapted screenplay, because obviously adapting that into this is fucking a massive job.
You can already guarantee it best sound, best cinematography.
Give Hans Zimmer another one.
Yeah.
Cinematography. Greig Fraser again, who's goes off, does Batman, does a bit on the creator, comes back to Dune Part 2. Probably the best cinematographer working in one of the best cinematographers. But yeah, like I say, the first film it made 402 million, which is a lot, but not massive. But then again, Dune came out as we were coming out of COVID again, still.
Yeah,
and so it's one of those kind of first films. I think didn't it come out in like the November, and then like Spider-Man came out in December. I think I remember seeing.
Maybe.
I'm not 100% on that. But I mean, yeah, it was nominated for 10 Oscars in the first one, and it won 6. But like you say, it won for technical, it won for cinematography, editing, score, special effects, production design, and sound. I think this time now, and you're right, David, I reckon we're going to add best directing and best film to it, because you never bet against a man in Denis Villeneuve, like I said. Also, we mentioned having all the actors. We're not going to recap everyone who's in the original film, but this one adds in the Pew.
Hey.
Bald Evil Elvis, Austin Butler.
Who's the Pew playing?
She's playing the Princess, Irulan.
Yeah.
Bald Evil Elvis is playing Sting. His character.
Bald Evil. Fade Ruther Harkonnen.
Yeah. And, of course, the legendary Christopher Walken as the Emperor of the Universe, which only seems fitting. Ooh. So, yeah. So, come March 15th, guys, we will see, finally, who controls the spice and who controls the universe. Nice. And do you know who does? It's Denis.
Denis Villeneuve does.
Denis.
I think that every time you mentioned the Pew, we need a little
pew pew
thing.
Pew.
Yeah, pew pew or something like that, because you say the pew or so often and it's fun.
It needs to be a thing. That should be one of our t-shirts.
The Pew.
The Pew. Weenie Roast featuring the Pew. Oh well, when we get her on.
When you say we needed roads really fast, it sounds like Weenie Roast. By the way, every time
Weenie Roast.
Listen to it when you say it at the top of the podcast. It's like when you say fast, it's the welcome to the Weenie Roast podcast.
Right. Well, moving on from the Weenie Roast podcast to my number 3, and that actually is a third film in the series, the only Marvel film we're going to be getting this year, because they're taking a little break to do better. And that film is Deadpool 3. And this is the first incarnation of Marvel doing it directly. And yes, the Merc with the Mouth, Wade Wilson, is back. Now, the internet lost its collective shit when Ryan Reynolds posted the teaser video a year or so back, which more or less confirmed Hugh Jackman would be returning as Wolverine. Writer Rhett Reese has said the film will be a fish-out-of-water story for Deadpool, who is a lunatic dropped into the very same world of the MCU. Now, obviously, we're expecting this to be a multiverse film because Jackson's Wolverine died in Logan. And also, they don't want to do a shit way of bringing him back that would undercut the greatness of the character's arc in Logan. Other characters coming back that we know for sure are Morena Barakin's Vanessa, Wade's fridged fiance. You got the excellent Brianna Hildebrand as Negasonic Teenage Warhead, which is also a brilliant name and also a great Monster Magnet song. Jennifer Garner is reprising her role as Elektra from 2003's Daredevil.
I think a lot of people are reprising their roles, even if it's just in cameos.
Here's the thing, though, Jose. I don't want to get into speculation and spoilers of these cameos because there are so many out there. I just want to talk about the people who are definitely
confirmed. It's going to be Deadpool across the universe.
I just want to interject here because this is my number 2 because of all these potential cameos. I don't believe all of them, but I feel like a lot of them, it could be really positive.
I don't even want to know who they are, though, Jose. I want to go in as fresh as a daisy.
I won't say who because, like I said, it's all a lot of speculation. But I just really think that now that there's a big budget backing of this, and I just think there's a lot of potential for this to just go off the rails in a good way. You know,
I mean, like I was just mentioning the other actors. These are the ones that people confirm. Like, obviously, you've got Leslie Uggams' foul-mouthed Blind Owl's coming back. Colossus is coming back. Yukio and Rob Delaney's Peter from X-Force is going to be coming back somehow, which is brilliant. And of course, Karen's son is Dependable Depinder is back as well. So, but new characters, like new actors that have been cast that we know about that aren't spoilers. Emma Corrin is going to be in it as the main villain, which is an interesting choice. But having said that, I just saw her, because I never watched The Crown, so I hadn't seen her in anything. But she was just in a Disney Plus show called A Murder at the End of the World, and she was amazing in it. What I love is that Ryan Reynolds, to try and put people off these spoilers and all this stuff, has put on Twitter a bunch of confirmed appearances, and there was shots of Predator, Mickey Mouse, and Steve Urkel in it. Now, obviously, they are not in the film, and I love the fake spoilers they're releasing to hide the real ones. But honestly, Disney own Fox, so why couldn't we have Deadpool versus Predator in a scene, right? That would be fucking hilarious.
You never know.
It's Deadpool across the universe. It's happening.
Deadpool kills the Marvel universe, David, and I'm going to let Ben mention that in his one.
Yeah.
So look, honestly, all bets are off on this one, and even when the full trailers come out, I'm going to avoid them because I want to go into this one as pure as a driven snow.
Ooh.
Unless someone's peed.
I don't think you've ever been pure in years.
Clean.
I don't know. Is that a bad joke?
And Jose, we come to your number 2, which is
my number 2 is Deadpool 3, which is why I kind of mentioned. Well, I just want to say again. Even with Ryan Reynolds posting those Twitter posts, I wouldn't be surprised if they even do still make an appearance in the movie, however small. Like, let's say, oh, hey, Mickey Mouse, and he just walks by. Because he's obviously going to mention it because of the acquisition.
Oh, yeah.
Because it's all about the fourth wall break. So
he's going to break the fifth wall in this film.
Yeah. If anything, though, as a Marvel fan, as a fan of movies, and a fan of X-Men, it has to be number 2. There's only one other movie that for me can top this one. So
nice.
That's all I'm going to say.
Moving on to David's number 2. And what do you have at number 2, David?
Number 2, I got Dune Part 2, which we've already discussed in great detail. But I'm just looking forward to Austin Butler as Phaedra Harkonnen and Paul Atreides just going at it in that scene that everybody knows about. That's going to be awesome.
As long as it's not loincloths like the first film, David Lynch's version. That wasn't needed. Maybe it was. I don't know.
I don't think Sting was needed in that film at all.
Oh,
controversial. Anyway, moving on to Ben's number 2.
My number 2 is Spider-Verse. Like, it's got to be Beyond the Spider-Verse, I believe it's called.
Beyond the Spider-Verse.
So
yes, that is correct.
It's the continuation of Across the Spider-Verse, which I watched again last night because it's such a fucking awesome movie. I mean, the setup for this is pure genius, like a almost like an Avengers type movie now of spider people trying to help Miles Morales figure out if he's allowed to bust the universe wide open and save his dad. Like, it's just it's going to be fucking tremendous. Like, and you know that they didn't make Across the Spider-Verse and went, right, we'll have a break now. They just carried on. They just carried on with the same movie, and then they broke it in half. I just can't wait. What else do you say about the movie that was our collective like best movie of last year,
top film of the year,
and now we get the second half this year, all being well, because things get pushed back and moved around and stuff. But like, I don't really want to say too much because other people are going to want to talk about this probably later on.
All right, moving on to my number 2, and we've already spoke about it, and that was Ghostbusters: Frozen Empire. Like we said, Ben, we're really looking forward to it. Shit title, trailer, average trailer, but we both loved Afterlife, and it's one of our favourite films. So it's good. We got faith in the original cast, and I really like the new cast. Although let's hope they give fucking Finn Wolfhard something to do other than just be guy with long hair who drives the car a little bit, because he's had no storyline. McKenna Grace was fucking brilliant in it, so I'm glad they've got her
Finn
back
Wolfhard's thing in that movie was like he was like pining after the girl from the burger place,
who had a really terrible name. I remember her character name was terrible.
I've forgotten it actually, but like
it's so bad I've barred it from my mind. Anyway, this brings us on to our number ones.
Number 1.
So Jose, this brings us to your number 1 and also David's number 1. So jump in, guys.
Yes, Jose,
sir.
do you want to do the honors?
Together.
I'll do the intro. Bum, 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 bum.
Spider-Man.
Yes, I think Ben did a great job of just kind of emphasizing everything together. There really isn't a whole lot to know about because these movies are notoriously good at keeping their secrets. I did find out one article where the writers, Lord and Miller, did kind of talk about where in the second one we've seen all the ones that have been in the comics, but now we get to see ones that haven't been in the comics that they've made up. And I don't want to. Cool. There's only 2 examples, but I'm going to hold back on talking about that. But if anything, like Ben said, these 2 movies have kind of broken the mold from Sony, and had good storylines and had great character development and foresight. So, and I'm glad to have been able to blow David's mind with the second one.
I loved it so much. I watched it again the other day just to show Natasha.
Please tell us her response.
She fucking hated it.
Oh, that's it. I saw you post about this on our Instagram, and you said I'm currently Googling divorce lawyers.
Yes. She fucking didn't like it. I didn't know what's the problem with her. This is exactly what she said. She just went, "It's just not my cup of tea." That was it.
That's such a British thing to say.
That's all I got off her. I don't understand. I could not get what she didn't like about it. I dug it out of her later. She just didn't vibe with the animation. She didn't like the blurred backgrounds all the time, and she said it looked like it's meant to be in 3D, and she just didn't like that. Which I can kind of get.
Imagine watching Spider-Verse in 3D.
It's so fucking good.
Sick.
So yeah, I think if the thing about the Spider-Verse movies now is that they have such a good reputation that even not knowing anything really, it's going to be a good trilogy. It's going to be a good cap to the movies, and if anything, I just can't wait. I really can't. But there's a small chance that I might not make it this year. That's why I'm a little hesitant to. Well, I made it my number 1, so there's no regrets.
All I need more from this film is more of the T-Rex Spider-Man and his T-Webs. I want to see some more T-Webs.
There we go.
I mean, this was supposed to be out in March, so they've pushed it back. But hey, films generally don't make a lot of money in March, so I'm guessing they're going to push it back to either summer or they'll push it back to winter holidays. So I think.
If this one comes out in the winter, it's going to be good. It's going to make some.
I reckon
money
they're going to think, let's release it at the optimum time to just absolutely smash it. Well, this brings us on to your number 1, Ben. And what do you have? Well, it's obvious.
It's very obvious. It's Deadpool 3, and it's going to be fucking amazing. And fuck anybody that thinks it's going to be rubbish, because I'm going to say Deadpool after you. This is going to be a spectacular romp through the Marvel universe. This is going to be ridiculous. You know how hard it was for me to keep quiet earlier on when other people were talking about it? I was gripping my seat going, can we just get on? Can we just move on? Because I want to talk about this later on. So this third installment of the Deadpool franchise, there's loads of rumors swirling around about what it could be about. The most exciting rumor that I've heard is that it could be based on Deadpool kills the Marvel universe, which ties in really, really well with the multiverse thing and could actually set a lot of things straight if they want to right the ship with whatever the fuck is going on in Kevin Feige's office right now.
The robot's gone mad. The one from She-Hulk.
Basically, in the comics, Deadpool gets he gets like mind controlled. From what I can remember, I read this comic a long time ago. But Deadpool gets mind controlled, and because he's basically immortal, he goes around and he kills. Like in the first couple of pages, he kills like Cyclops and someone else like with ridiculous amounts of power, and he does it with the typical like whim and gusto of Deadpool. But I don't want to go too far into that because this movie may not be about that. But even if it hints on it and it does that similar kind of vibe, it will be hilarious because you can use the multiverse and jump around into different places where it doesn't matter if Deadpool goes and kills like Beast,
everyone,
and all these other huge properties. It also means that they might use this movie to tie in other things they're gonna spin off with, like the Fantastic Four and other things like that. So you could have there's a lot of scope, is what I'm saying here, for it to.
It could be used as a handy reset button, couldn't it? It
could be, but it could also be a reset button that's also a fuck you to everybody, because they might go and undo it all at the end, like they did in Deadpool 2. Like he goes and uses the time turner and like goes back and
time turner.
Yeah, it's the Harry Potter thing, right? Like it's. But he goes back and he undoes all the stuff to a Cher song, like from that movie, and resets his own movie. So that's what you get from Deadpool. You get like tongue-in-cheek, completely self-aware, fourth wall breaking genius. I mean, Ryan Reynolds is riding high at the moment. He did in the last, since he's made Deadpool 2, he's done about 4 million Netflix shows, which probably net him a few quid. Like his, the Welcome to Wrexham TV show that he's got has won all the Emmys.
His football club's doing well as well.
Far better than it should. Yeah. Although that's what happens when you pump a bunch of money into something. So, like he's doing well. The only thing that might mar this was it started filming right as the writer's strike happened, which means they couldn't adapt the script. So the script they had to stick with doggedly until the writer's strike finished, and then they could have rewrites.
But they do reshoots a lot, don't they?
Yeah.
I feel like the writer's strike will be referenced
I think you're right.
in the film.
Oh,
they'll go and they'll be like, okay, so this is where it gets some,
Literally, the film will stop at one point, and like Deadpool will like, oh yeah, this is when the writers, and you just see him go into a room full of writers and go, get back to fucking work or something like that.
Yeah, exactly. So that's exactly what I like.
But all bets are off, and that's what I love about these movies. Is like and now that there's like Disney money behind it.
Is it going to be R-rated or is it going to be PG-13?
Because it's R-rated. It's definitely. So they said a couple of things at Ryan Reynolds, because when they did the reveal with Hugh Jackman, which was a genius reveal with Jackman just in the background going, yeah, sure, whatever.
Do you want to be in the film?
He's like,
yeah, okay.
Yeah, sure, whatever. Like they did another thing where they were both sat on the sofa and they said like they've answered a bunch of questions about like Logan being in it, even though he's dead, and they did say that it's going to be an R-rated project and that they're going to like stay true to the Logan's death thing. So like come on, man, it's going to be amazing.
Yeah, we can't wait, man.
Oh yeah.
Right, well, that brings us on to my number one, which we just talked about, which was Dune 2. So, we can skip past that. That is our top 10, guys. But we're not done.
What a flat ending that is.
No, because that's not the end, David. We have listener comments. So please scroll down the sheet to the listener comments.
I can't do the first one after what I've just said about Planet of the Apes.
Yeah, exactly. Adrian Rickard said, from a personal perspective, Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes, a fan of all the films, even the low-budget sequels, whose themes outweighed the props. Interested to see where this franchise goes. Maybe brings back the Heston era into focus. And from a student counselor perspective, Inside Out 2. The first being a brilliant portrayal of emotions and feelings and giving them life for anyone to relate with and to. Awesome comment.
Yeah.
Wow.
You should get that guy on the pod. Kick me off and get this guy on the podcast.
Marie from Two Girls, One Reusable Cup. Still looking forward to doing part 2. Hopefully it won't be delayed again because I'm pretty sure I had the same answer last year.
Hi, Marie. Hi, Two Girls, One Reusable Cup.
Me and you both, girl. Scaring Sam says Nosferatu. That's all he said.
Brilliant.
He's really just looking forward to that film.
A lot. That's his Christmas Day sorted.
Okay, so Experience Podcast says Deadpool 3, Ghostbusters Frozen Empire, Inside Out 2, Twisters, Quiet Place Day 1, Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes. It's going to be a great year for movies.
Hell yeah!
That gets a resounding hell yeah from our team over here, apart from Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes.
I don't think they actually said hell yeah, but
no, David put that in, and it was it was valuable.
No, because I was emphasising it's going to be a great year for movies.
Right, so then friend of the podcast and who I've guested on their podcast a couple of times, good old Stu from Stu World Order said Deadpool 3 is the easy choice, but aside from that, I also really want to see Jordan Peele's fourth movie if it's still on schedule for December.
That didn't make my list because I wasn't sure about it. Yeah, sorry, Jose.
I saw an interview where he says that if he can pull it off right, it's going to be his favorite movie so far.
Okay.
I feel like every director says that though about their next project.
Next to the Aisle says Juror Number 2 by Eastwood. The premise sounds great and potentially Eastwood's last ever on-screen role. So that should be something to watch.
So we got a lot of love for Deadpool 3 and Ghostbusters here, haven't we? Which is excellent.
All these people have eyes that are connected to their soul and their brains work properly.
Yes. There was a couple Kingdoms of the Planet of the Apes in there as well.
Can't win them all, though, can you? Come on.
Well, and coming on to our overall top 10, using the power of maths, you'll be glad to know we don't have nowhere near as many ties as in our end-of-year review shows, but we do start with a tie. So joint at number 9 and 10, we have Inside Out 2 and Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes, Ben.
Oh, that's exactly where it belongs.
Hey.
At number 8, all by itself, we have Maxine. So me and David challenge you for that one. We have Alien Romulus at number 7. Joker number 2 at 6. Gladiator 2 at 5. Ghostbusters Frozen Empire at 4. And we have a tie at number 2 and 3, which is Dune Part 2 and Deadpool 3. Which leaves, of course, our number 1 film that we reckon you should go and see this year because it's going to be spectacularly awesome. And that is Beyond the Spider-Verse.
Yeah. Beyond the Spider-Verse.
Yeah.
I'm glad of this results this time.
It didn't make your list at all, Neil.
It wasn't, actually.
It didn't make your list at all. Not even...
I enjoy it, David, but you know what? It's just not my cup of tea.
It's not your cup of tea.
There's another divorce about to happen in David's world. Now I've got to divorce the podcast as well as my wife.
That brings us to the end of another epic episode. And yes, soon we'll be telling you our top 10 shows to look out for in 2024. And honestly, there are tons. And also, it's not helped by streamers genuinely never telling us when a show is going to drop. So don't blame me when shows get moved back or don't come out this year. Blame David. No, I'm joking. Right, so it's goodbye from me and it's goodbye from Ben Lord.
See you later.
David.
I hope you've stuck around for the last 3 hours. We'll see you next time.
And Jose.
Cheers, mates.
See you next time, folks.
We Needed Roads.